quick shout out to our new sponsor, Goop. Goop, maker of fine household wares everywhere.
Fine, waxy candles. What up, Internet? It's Jeff Gretler. Welcome to House Show Live. It's the show with kayfabe content, horror high spots, and culture pop for movie marks and lucha nerds. What's up, Mario? You ready to get the show? We're coming in hot.
Let's do the show. We're
coming in very, very hot, scorching hot, all the way from Denmark. We have a very special guest. He is Nikolai Wachman. Nikolai, how are you, man?
Thank you. I'm great, actually. It's a little bit, what can you say? Probably one would say early in the morning here in Denmark.
I guess it depends on what number drink that you're on, if it's too early or too late, right?
Yeah, actually, I'm on this very special drink here in Denmark called Faxekondi.
Oh, yeah, we got to get a taste of that. Can you describe
it? Did you say Foxy Candy?
Yeah, not Faxe Kinky, but Faxekondi, actually. So, we'll stay there, actually.
Yeah, I like it. So, welcome. You are officially part of Dos Incredibles International. We got a huge international presence, right? Glad we finally...
An honor, yeah.
I'm glad we finally made it out there to Denmark.
Yeah. Actually, it's we had a little bit chat on Twitter. Actually,
yes.
I don't know if it was actually me who was forcing you two guys to have me on the show, or what can you say? But,
well, you know what?
Actually,
yeah, we were talking about horror movies and we were talking about wrestling, and you were actually part of a wrestling federation there in Denmark, correct?
Yeah, actually, I'm helping the latest promotion in Denmark called Nordic Elite Wrestling. You can probably characterize me as the man with the mic.
I like it. You're the Denmark version of Mean Gene. You need a Mean Gene platform. You need, or Tony Schiavone for your AW crew or WCW crew, if you want to do that. But like I was saying, there's a lot of elite athletes out there, but it takes a special skill to be elite on the mic like yourself, and they can't do it without you. So, thank you.
Oh, they can't.
Yes. Well, they'll try. Maybe they can't do it well. So, Mario, let's bring them in, right? So, we're coming off hot off a pay-per-view, which is actually one of my favorite pay-per-views. Not my favorite time of the year. I prefer my Hell in the Cells around Halloween time. But whatever, we'll take it in June. We'll take it in June. That's when Mick Foley went plunging off the cage in June. So it's not like there's not precedent. But yes, Hell in the Cell. Hell in the Cell. Boom. Well, we can do it Vince McMahon style and do Hell in a Cell. Yeah. But yeah, no, this was actually. Look, here's my first take right out of the gate, because we're going to tell you right here, the main event to this pay-per-view was Cody Rhodes versus Seth freaking Rollins. So Cody Rhodes is basically 2 months back into the company, and he's already headlining this pay-per-view. There's tons of momentum already with Cody, and I feel like WWE is riding this momentum and leaning a little bit more into this real... Cody presents himself as an actual athlete. He's not the sports entertainer. He's the one that gets slapped on the wrist all the time for calling it, pro wrestling. But he treats it like he is an athlete. And I feel like they're leaning into that with him, and they're not shying away from that. And, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but, I mean, going into this, I feel like Cody sold some tickets.
I mean, he's definitely hot.
But Cody is going from actually being some kind of mid-carder in AEW to the main event guy in WWE. And it's quite impressive, if you ask me, how he can catapult himself from actually being not relevant in another promotion now to being totally relevant here.
And leaving the WWE because he was not feeling relevant because he was Stardust, who... I was a fan of Stardust. I was cool with Stardust and Goldust, but he wanted to be actually Cody Rhodes. And look, he left and he stood there he goes, alone with his morals. He's like, I'm not going to turn heel. He's telling the AEW crowd, I am not going to turn heel. Not only am I not going to turn heel, I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go to WrestleMania, and I'm going to get a Road Warrior pop, and then I'm going to be the main event, doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And he did it. And he literally did it. And we'll get into his match, because that match was the show. A lot of big things happened, but he wasn't the only one on there. He was just there selling the tickets, if you will, just like Daddy taught him. The son of a plumber.
Can I just say this as an overall take on the Hell in the Cell real quick? Because this is just my overall take. I feel like they had 2 really good matches and then a bunch of other stuff like sandwiched in the middle.
This was a main event sandwich. That is a good way to put it, because
it's like 2 really good, nice, big slices of bread, beautiful bread, with some sort of good dressing on it. And then inside it was just like lettuce.
Yeah. Or the meats that you're not too sure about. And it's just like, oh, that kind of crumbled up a little bit. So,
maybe a little bit of overcooked chicken.
You might act very accurate, because WWE started this a couple years ago with Seth freaking Rollins, actually, when he beat Brock Lesnar in the curtain jerk for WrestleMania. I feel like they are doing this a lot, that they're having world title matches as the curtain jerk. And that was the curtain jerk in this match. Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Becky Lynch. Big time Bex, which... hats off to Big Time Bex. We went over this on the SummerSlam preview. That was a botch. Make no mistake, that was a botch. They're like, screw it, we're going to turn her heel. She's a great heel. And it's working really well. And Asuka is phenomenal. Asuka just has to come out there and be Asuka, and it just works so well. And Bianca Belair is perfect as the champion, right? She is, like we were talking about earlier, she's an elite athlete. And so to start off with this, I was like, wow, they literally walked into the bar and they unzipped their zipper and they're like, let's do this.
They did actually. It was kind of a good show off.
Yeah. That
they ripped the shirt off right.
Yeah, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
Because I knew that these women were going to go, and they delivered hands. And I wasn't sure how the finish was going to go, but I was pretty comfortable. It's kind of like, what the finish is going to be, but I still want to suspend my belief. And it didn't feel right that they were going to take the belt off Bianca, even though there's always a slim chance that they can throw it on Asuka, but I didn't feel like they were going to put it back on Becky. And they delivered it really well. I mean, this match went 20 minutes, and Bianca Belair, she went over. And it was a great match.
But you could actually see in the match, I thought that Becky was actually very good at guiding Bianca all the way through.
Yeah.
Because Bianca is still, in my eyes, actually, she's still a talent who has a lot to learn in the ring.
Oh, yeah. She has the it factor. She has the energy. She has that. She's going to sell merch. Kids are going to cheer for her. People are going to dig her. Adults are going to dig her too. She has that. But you're absolutely right. There is this thing that's got to be turned. The dial has to be turned, where all of a sudden now you're feeling, because we know she can perform. We know she's a super athlete. But can she make me feel something? As MJF put it in his promo, I want to make you feel something. And Becky already has that. Becky was kind of thrust into, when she got herself over, she makes you feel something. And Asuka, in a way, did it too. The Asuka that had the 500-day plus winning streak in NXT is no more. Asuka's this new character. You see Asuka, and she's like a human gif. Like when she comes out here, everything she does, and just like she's going to go out there and prance around and dance around, and she's going to thump Becky in the nose, and it's going to get over. And it's just... even when she was a heel, with it just feels like it's hard to not like Asuka. So this was a great match with a great performance. And Nick, I think you're right. I think they were guiding her through, and those are two of the best to help guide her through that. Especially Asuka coming out of NXT just like Bianca did.
But I think one thing where Bianca really has to up her game, she has to be a little bit more serious. She looks like sometimes a girl who's just playing around, smiling.
Yeah.
And her mic skills, they have to improve a lot.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's a very to work the stick is a skill, and a lot of the promo class, and I think a lot of the female talent, which I think female wrestling has the potential to overtake men's wrestling in the public's eye. I think they're going to elevate to that much. But my issue with a lot of the promos is they make it feel. I don't want it to feel catty. I don't want it to feel like a reality show. I want you to feel like a character. I want you to make me believe that you're the toughest, quickest, fastest, bestest, and make that come through your words without actually always every time saying those words, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I think we'd do that. But you're right, and she's so over right now, and everybody likes her, and she got screwed. She got screwed on that SummerSlam, and that swell of support for her kind of buoyed her up to like, okay, she's going to stay a babyface. Because I think she could have a heel turn, and she could have that same thing that Sasha Banks has right now, where now Sasha Banks is a heel because I'll walk out on this company. I don't give a damn. I'm in the freaking Mandalorian. She'll do that in the ring, and she'll walk out of the ring. And Bianca could elevate her game to that once, just seasoning, right? It just needs a little bit.
I feel like that's a ways away. I think she's just such a super uber baby face right now.
Yeah.
And like you said, she's going to be a merch machine. Little girls are going to look up to her. She looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
Put her in a Marvel movie.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
She could sell that for sure. But yeah, I agree with Nikolai. I think she's still young. She's still like kind of growing as a performer, but like as an athlete, she's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Probably the best in the...
She's actually, if you ask me, she's uncomparable to anyone other on the roster at the moment.
Yeah, she's a powerhouse too. I mean, for her to be as agile as she is with like doing the flips and the way she does it, but then she'll just like dead weight, vertical suplex somebody and then hold them up, and she does a lot of powerhouse moves, and it's just like, wow, she's the real deal. She's the one that if she walks around to other sporting events and they stand next to her, there's going to be other athletes from other sports that are going to want to take a picture with her because they're like, wow, yeah, she's one of us.
But actually, one thing that I really loved in the match was when she was walking around with I can't remember which one. I think it was actually Becky, when she was walking around with her like she was a cheerleader or something like that before suplexing her.
Oh, yeah. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
She has these feats of strength that are like legit feats of strength, and you're like, wow. So hats off to her. I'm curious where they're going to go with this, but it was the right call. It was the right call. You're not going to take the belt off Bianca after you had the feel-good story of getting the belt back on her after you kind of screwed her, and I think it's working out really. And I like Becky taking a break from the belt, because let's face it, big-time Bex doesn't necessarily need the belt right now. She can sell tickets, and you'll want to see her even if she doesn't have the belt. Now, come around WrestleMania, that's when you may have to reconfigure who has the belt. But for right now, I'm okay with this. But eventually, someone like Becky's going to have the belt, because I'm more of the school, the Ric Flair school, where the heel has the belt, and you have all your favorites trying to get their belt, but they're not going to get it, rather than the Hulk Hogan one, where just like, or Jerry the King Lawler, I'm just going to keep beating you, these beasts, and no one ever really stands a chance. But I think right now, and Mario, I'll start with you. Like, who would you even consider the top female in WWE right now?
I mean, I don't know. They've got really good pool of lady talent for sure.
They really do.
Like you said, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely Bianca because she's getting the biggest push. But I mean, I feel somebody like Liv Morgan could be huge, like way bigger than she is now. She's got such a great look, and she can work, and I just think she looks awesome on print and then on a T-shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Asuka at any point could be the champ. I feel she's always believable champ. It's hard to say. It's hard to say who the top is over there. As opposed to like, AEW, we know. I feel like their female talent is a little bit it's limited, right? They don't have the same range over here. But I don't really know.
And it's a shame. Friend of the show, Thunder Rosa, she's not getting TV time. There's a big rumor going around. She's not happy about that. and they need to fix that because they can. Because you put if they just even had three of these women that could actually go with Thunder Rosa, can you imagine some of the matches that she would be able to have? But I mean, they got Britt, and they got Ruby, and they're building up. They're building up Jade. She's still young, but
Yeah.
WWE's got a fortune of talent. I mean, I personally think it's still Charlotte Flair just for pedigree and just that star factor. Nick, who would you bill as the top female talent in WWE right now?
Yeah, I'm all the way. I totally agree with you. You haven't seen Charlotte Flair do a bad performance.
No.
I can't remember the last time she did. She is so what can you say, phenomenal in the ring.
And the thing
she
about
can
her,
sell anything.
I think when she finally leaned into, remember Mario, I think this might have been the WrestleMania we went to when they were really trying to push her as a babyface because Ric Flair was having one of his many renaissance. So they're like, oh, let's push her as a baby. But then the crowd didn't get into it. And I feel like once she got into like, screw it, I'm Charlotte Flair. I'm going to be better than my dad even. And she started leaning into that. Now it feels like it's real, and that's what made her dad so well. He was Ric Flair inside the ring, outside the ring, and now I feel like Charlotte's leaning into that, and that's why I feel like she's still top of the game. And JJ, yeah, where's Bayley?
We need Bayley back. Yes,
I thought Bayley was going to lean into this. Ding dong, hello. I thought she was going to lean into that. I didn't even think that was going to be get over, but somehow that get over because I wanted heel Bayley, but I wanted her to still do everything the same way, but as a heel, with the wacky waving inflatable hand tube people. I wanted them to just have frowny faces. I just wanted them to be angry. I wanted the heel version of that. But yeah, I thought for sure there's supposedly a big rush on tickets that sold for Hell in the Cell. Because rumors of Bayley coming back and Bray Wyatt coming back, and that was like at the last second. Who spread those rumors? But tickets sold because of that. Because the undercooked chicken, as Nick put it, was not enough for this whole card. But we'll start going through some of these matches. But yeah, Bianca went over about a 20-minute match. Great opening match. Next up, and I'm really curious of what your guys' feeling on this. Bobby Lashley went over on Omos and MVP by submission with the Hurt Lock on MVP. That was about a 9-minute match. I was okay with the swerve. I love MVP as a manager. I think he's doing really well as a manager. I think they need to keep growing his faction, not dismantling his faction. And so I like that he turned on Bobby Lashley and he went with Omos. But I was okay with this match, but they're really trying to elevate Bobby back into the title picture because he was in the title picture. He went over on Brock Lesnar, and now he's kind of like they need to do something with him fast. So I don't know how long this can go. What did you guys feel about this match?
Actually, I think it was a good build for Bobby Lashley that they're going to elevate him again because they need a person like Bobby Lashley in the title picture.
Yeah.
Because it's very, very limited who they have instead because of the injuries that's going around at the moment. So I really think that Bobby Lashley is the go-to guy besides Drew McIntyre, actually. Those two, I think it's the only ones that could pose a threat to the head of the table.
Yeah, no get us started on Drew. I think Drew needs a complete repackaging.
Are they turning Bobby Lashley babyface?
Yeah, he's pretty much a babyface again. So he's back to it with his Hurt Lock, and I think with MVP turning on, we're kind of locked in there. Now it's going to be really curious, right? Because now we only have one undisputed Universal World Heavyweight Champion. There's only one belt, so there's only one spot. Everybody's leaning into Cody, and we'll get into why that might not be for a little bit while. So who is going to challenge the Tribal Chief before that? It's got to be Bobby Lashley. He grabbed one of the cosplay belts and he held it up, and they really leaned into that. Like, oh, he's getting that looks right.
Yeah, and people are really getting into him. His new gimmick as the Almighty, the only challenger for the belt that Roman.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I personally, I liked it. The people are getting behind him, but he's terrible on the mic, and you run the risk of when MVP had him, you knew he was great because MVP is great on the mic, and I just liked that feeling. I liked, the Hurt Business. I liked that they felt like the Horsemen, and they had all the belts, and they all dressed up in the nice suits. I again, and that could be the old school '80s in me that I was just like, oh, this is cool. This feels like the Horseman. He feels like Ric Flair, and he's the top of the food chain. So I don't know, they really messed up the Hurt Business by breaking them up and then pretending they weren't together, and then they are, then they're not, and they're still kind of doing it. Cedric Alexander came out, and now he might be back with Bobby Lashley, but my only concern with Bobby Lashley is he's never really going to be good on the mic,
No.
but maybe he's got to find it. Look how terrible the biggest draw in the business right now, Brock Lesnar. Look how terrible he was on the mic. But now Cowboy Brock, everybody loves Cowboy Brock. Yeah. I was like, this is like he all of a sudden decided he wanted to go out there and have fun. Now he doesn't need Paul Heyman because he goes out there just with his cowboy hat and like he's having a good time. And now it's great. So maybe Bobby Lashley needs to find that. I don't know, Mario. You watched the Cowboy Brock stuff, right?
Yeah, I've been following it.
Yeah, Cowboy Brock. I mean, I don't know where he is right now, but I liked when he leaned into like, screw it, I'm just gonna go out there and have fun. Brock Lesnar does not have to talk about being a badass. Brock Lesnar is a badass. Brock Lesnar is legit, as legit comes. He doesn't have to say it. So I love that Brock Lesnar is coming out there and riding an invisible horse, knowing that he can drop you on your head.
But I actually think that if they built Bobby right towards another title shot, actually, he could pose that imposing threat to Roman Reigns because of his physique alone.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. He's got all the tools to be the champ, and he was great in the champ. They're going to need to repair having him as the, he's going to need a mouthpiece. That's what in this business, all these wrestlers back in the 80s, back in our day when we watched it, what was so great is you had the Heenan family and you had the Hart Foundation. You had all these guys because you had all these great athletes that weren't very good on the mic. And then you let the manager talk to them. Not everybody could be Roddy Piper or MJF. So it's something that I think they can definitely work on with him. Next up, this is the opposite of what we're going to talk about because this is one of the best guys on the mic right now in WWE. Kevin Owens, KO, defeated Ezekiel, not Elias. Ezekiel by pinfall 9 minutes, which was a solid match. And I liked Elias. I was ready for WWE stands for Walk with Elias. I liked when he called people scumbags for no reason. It was always funny. This gimmick, which I didn't think was going to work, and I didn't even know it was something that exists, is working for me. I don't know. Is it working for you guys? Like, no, I'm not this person. Like, it's literally the Clark Kent versus Superman. It's like, of course you're this person. You look exactly like him. No, I'm his younger brother.
I feel like WWE pushes their angles till they work.
Yeah.
Like they whether it works or not, they're going to do it till it works. I mean, just think about how Roman got to where he is, right? It took a long time for us to like him.
Oh, wow. No, it took forever. It literally took Roman saying, all right, I'm coming back, but I'm turning heel because Vince wasn't ready to pull the trigger on it. And then Roman left him no choice, and now there's no turning back. Now Roman finally is fulfilling his destiny because he is the head of the table, the tribal chief. There's no doubt about it that he's the number one guy inside the ring and in the locker room. He just has that vibe. That he is the number one guy. So seeing Kevin Owens go over on Ezekiel, and then we watched it on Raw, and it really didn't hurt him. I just like that it's to the point where, again, we were just talking about Weekend at Bernie's. And remember when the Hitman just was like, I swear I killed him. I'm going to go back. I'm going to kill him again. I swear I killed him. Kevin Owens is beating the crap out of Ezekiel, and he's like, now admit it. You're Elias. Nope, I'm Ezekiel. And he's like, damn it. Like, no matter what he does, he can't get him to admit that he's Ezekiel. I mean, that he's Elias. And I don't know. I think it's really funny. And Kevin Owens, obviously, he can go, and it was a great match. I mean, they went 10 minutes, and Kevin Owens went over.
I just hope that they shot some video of Elias with the beard on.
Yeah.
And they've got that in the vault to drop as part of this angle at some point.
Better. I was thinking about that because they really need to do like some backstage vignette like on the Titantron. Like, no, see, look, my brother, he's live. He's right there in the locker room. And it's just like, hey, Kevin, I'm back here in the locker room. I'm Elias. And then have Kevin Owens going running back and trying to find him. And then he can't find him. I mean, there's so much they can do about this. Nick, how are you feeling about this Ezekiel angle?
Well, I love it because it's such great fun to see. Kevin Owens he can sell everything. He could actually sell sand from Sahara if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Actually. But I think actually they should put a little bit extra spice on that gimmick. They could have made Ezekiel pull out a guitar and hit Kevin Owens with it. Like building a little bit of clues that he could maybe be Elias after all.
I like that. That's a great idea. I think that would work really well. Just little small things, right?
Yeah.
You know, just have him like sing, like pretend he's about to sing a song, or he knows about song. He's like, you remind me of a song, and then Kevin Owens is like, why do you know so much about music? Because you're Elias. You know,
or maybe he walks out with a guitar case and he opens up and it's like a hockey stick or something.
But yeah, I think it was just again, and now I think they need to do something a little bit more to make this elevated, to make it not feel like it's just a premium live event, right? We don't call them pay-per-views always, even though you got to pay for the app. It's a premium live. This felt like it could have been on Raw, even though it was a great match. Everybody involved, and they actually they had a rematch, or they're setting up a rematch, so they might need to up it a little bit to just make it feel like it's just not a TV match. But it was a good match. No qualms. But Kevin Owens beat Ezekiel, but clean pinfall. Next match, we had the Judgment Day. Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley went over on the new club. Well, I don't know, they didn't call them the club, but they had AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. And that was about a 16-minute match. And Nick, what do you think of this match here for the Judgment Day? We'll get into, because I want to segue into what this turned into, but just let's talk about the match first.
Well, it was I think it was actually the overboiled chicken for me.
Yeah, you weren't.
I didn't really like it because I can't really buy into that Judgment Day while they're. I don't really think that WWE have made them relevant.
Yeah.
They have seen that in other wrestling companies that factions is the new black. So they think, well, we have to do something like that, but please give it relevance.
Yeah.
Give it meaning to me. So it was an okay match. AJ Styles is always great in the ring.
I like the club reunion, and you know, Corey Graves dropped it as just like a club, if you will, and I like Liv Morgan has that I'm over, but even though the office doesn't realize it and I'm not getting pushed properly, I'm over. So I thought, oh, this is going to be cool. They're going to lean into AJ Styles and Finn Balor, both leaders of the Bullet Club at different times. So it should and then JJ, I agree. I mean, she would have been perfect for the Bullet Club. This would have got her way over, and just like this could have been AJ getting the club back together, which they started to do with the Good Brothers before they, got rid of the Good Brothers in this. So I thought they were going to lean into this, but then fast forward to Monday Night Raw, and Nick, I think somebody got the memo that you're talking about, and the rumor was that Edge did not want to do any supernatural elements to Judgment Day, that they started leaning to, let's make it like something Undertaker-ish, and he didn't want to do it. So next thing you know, we're going to have a new member of Judgment Day, and Finn Balor, who got beat by Judgment Day, comes out and he's like, I'm going to be the new member. And then Damian Priest is like, okay, and we need to get rid of some dead weight, and then they turned on Edge. Now the new leader of the Judgment Day is Finn Balor. So you got Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley, and Edge is out. And I don't know what they're going to do with that. And that's kind of like summed up with the match. Like, this could be something really good, but I feel like they're making it up as they go along.
Yeah. I can't see where they want to go with this. it looks like a very rushed decision to do that kind of turn.
Yeah. Here's what I've liked. If you're, and sometimes Nick, sometimes we book the territory. Mario, you've seen Finn Balor live, and we know the demon is over. Here's what I would have liked to see: reunite the club, like JJ said. Liv is full-time Bullet Club member. You can't call it Bullet Club, just call it Club 2.0, whatever. But then all of a sudden the demon comes out, but the demon is part of Judgment Day, and make it seem like literally Finn Balor has a split personality where the demon is now a heel as part of the Judgment Day, but Finn Balor is that, and then AJ be like, dude, what are you doing? We know that's you. And like they can play a little bit what they're doing with these, because obviously I think the demon is a perfect fit for Judgment Day, but again, I feel like this is all over the place, and it wasn't a surprise. They're like, we have a new member, and here he is. And then Finn Balor music played. There was no suspense to it at all. Mario, have you seen any of the Judgment Day stuff on Raw?
Yeah, I mean, I was watching some of it. I'm not a big fan of that gimmick. Honestly, I feel like Edge is I'm not compelled by Edge anymore. I think, I don't know. I know he's a legend and everything like that, but I feel like
no,
I'm not into Edge anymore.
No, I agree. I feel like he's struggling. I feel like the crowd turned on him a little bit, and that's why for his WrestleMania match with Roman, they put Bryan in there, and then he was definitely like a heel, and then they leaned into heel Edge, but now they're just doing something different. It was better than what they were doing. I was just happy that he cut his hair, because I feel like that makes him look younger. You know, that's the whole Chris Jericho thing. When he cuts his hair, he looks like 10
and
years
like
younger.
I feel like, I don't know if this is a thing or if this is just in my head, but I feel like he's just going over the top with his facials sometimes.
He wants to be a GIF,
and it just catches. It's just like, it just seems unrealistic.
Yeah, and they did that now, right? When Finn broke off that piece of that chair, and he was like, "Let's put a smile on your face," and he was leaning into his facials. I was like, yeah, I think he trolls Giphy, and he goes in there. He's like, man, I'm a lot of gifts. Let me see other gifts that I can be. But yeah, that was but it went long, you know, and it's probably, I love Rhea Ripley now. I'm happy with her in Judgment Day. Damian Priest needed to do something, because he was not working with how he was, the Archer of infamy. And that's what anything, Nick, right? I mean, growing up, we were just talking about Adam Bomb. Like, you got to tell me, like, what is your gimmick? Like, what is an Archer of infamy? Like, do you shoot arrows that are going to turn people bad? Like, what is that gimmick? Are you a literal archer? Like, if this was the 80s, if you were the Archer of Infamy, they're going to cut a bunch of vignettes and you're going to have to hit a bullseye every time. These gimmicks aren't really gimmicks. And I feel like they're struggling with that, because they don't want to have heels and baby faces anymore. But look, as long as there's going to be people like Miz and MJF around, you're going to have people that are heels, and you're going to need people that are going to have to be their foes.
It's actually sometimes in wrestling, I think it's like everyone wants to be a heel, but nobody wants to be a babyface anymore.
Oh man, no, you're preaching to the choir on that, because I said I am tired of all the badasses in pro wrestling. You know, I'm sorry, I want, if you want the badasses, you know, we see, and I'm not saying these, you might be a legitimate badass in for real, you know, not as your character, but we need people like the Honky Tonk Man to make wrestling wrestling. We need these gimmicks. We need this stuff to make you like a memorable. Not everybody's, look, you can still be a chicken shit heel and know how to fight, but you don't have to be a badass. Ric Flair is never known as a badass, and people are still making rap songs about him, you know, and he's in his 70s, because he was always the chicken shit heel, and no matter how many times you beat him, he was still Ric Flair. Like, we need people that are not badasses, and that's why I was, you know, NXT, I struggle with that, you know, NXT 2.0 especially, because everybody's a badass, and it's just like, the girls are going to be catty to each other, and the guys are going to be badasses. No, not everybody's a badass. That's why the Road Warriors got the Road Warrior pop, because there's only one. But we also needed other teams like the Midnight Express that weren't badasses, but they still found a way to get the job done, and they were elite wrestlers. We just need more of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's small rant.
actually, they have one in NXT if they elevate him right. I think Braun Breaker, they could really make him a good baby face.
Oh, absolutely. And now Braun Breaker, that's somebody that you elevate as a badass, right? Because he has the lineage of his Brad. Because his father and uncle were badasses, right? They were powerhouses, and that makes sense. We just need some people to be a little bit lean more into their characters. Like I like Cameron Grimes in NXT because he's a to the moon guy and he still knows how to fight. But when he's out there, he's still partying. When he's not out there, that's what that's when you start to elevate. And it doesn't always have to be comical, but it has to have that quirkiness that you can only find in pro wrestling. So Damian Priest really suffered from that. I mean, I think it's okay that now he's just like whatever he is as part of the Judgment Day, that I've seen the light and it's dark. Okay, cool. You're a dark guy. That at least I can file that away and I know where to put my cheers.
I don't know, man. I liked his indie name better. They should have went with it. Damian Priest is just like, it's a weird contradiction of a name. It's
yes.
Like,
oh yeah. What
was
like,
his? He's the devil, but he's also holy.
Yes.
Something. But he was just like Punisher Rodriguez or something.
Oh, Punisher Martinez.
Martinez.
That's a great name. Like why he should have just stayed with that.
Yeah, but just Punisher.
Yeah, WWE, but they want to own the name, so they're going to come up with a name. Very, very rarely they're going to not own the name. So, but somebody stop. They should have stopped with Dolph. That name. I mean, Dolph Ziggler was one of the, but no one ever took that name. I think having that name hurt him more than it helped him. He could have just went to Zig, something, but come on, man. But anyway, that's small rant. I don't want to go down that road. But anyway, yeah, Judgment Day, they went over on the new Bullet Club, and then the Bullet Club reunion was over as fast as it started because now Finn is part of the Judgment Day, and we don't know where AJ and Liv stand with that, but they really need to stop screwing up with Liv Morgan because that's a top star, and they blew it with her. They need to not, and she's still managing to stay over. She's surviving, weathering all these storms and still staying over. Speaking of Dolph Ziggler, because that's what Dolph did for so many years. No matter what stupid position they put him in, he found a way to stay over, and Liv's doing it. But man, they need to elevate her really quick. But
the best way, actually, if it's totally WWE style, Edge will join AJ and Liv.
Yeah, they're probably going to flip-flop it right now.
Yeah,
better best friends, better enemies, or whatever they want to call. Which but now it's going to feel a little bit like hodgepodge. But I don't know, man. I think Rhea Ripley should be the leader of the crew, and they should have just kept Finn out of there, and she could have recruited somebody else. Because this is the best. This is the most I've been intrigued by Rhea Ripley. And obviously she's another one. She's an elite athlete, and she has a look. She has a great look, and now this really elevated her. But anyway, that one went 16 minutes. Nick, I'm going to have to rely on you for the next one because just out of habit, I always end up tuning out here. Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin, and Madcap Moss went over, and this was a no-holds-barred match, 12 minutes. How was this match? This one this was a bathroom break for me, unfortunately, and I say this as Happy Corbin, besides Down on His Luck Corbin, is the best Corbin we've ever got. I just still can't wrap my head around what Madcap Moss is, so how was this match?
I'm still struggling as you doing as well with Madcap, but I really think that this match actually did him some good, because actually we got a Madcap with a little bit more edge than we have seen until now, because Corbin is doing Madcap so much good with his gimmick.
Yeah,
he's really selling this match, but we saw a little bit more vicious side of Madcap in this match.
Got it.
And
and he has
I loved it.
He has a different gear too. Like he's not doing the suspenders anymore.
Yeah, and that's really, really good.
Got it.
Because it made him look like an older version of a Chippendale.
Yeah, that was always strange, and the weird dad jokes that weren't as funny it wasn't as over as it could have been. I mean, at least it was colorful and he leaned into it. And obviously he's another one, right? He's an elite athlete, but man, they just got to stop watching reality shows and go back and just watch old tapes. Just go watch YouTube and watch old wrestling and lean in and find somebody that worked back then and lean into that and tell the writers to suck it, for lack of a better term. But I think
actually maybe we should apply for a writing job there.
Yeah,
we could probably help them a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was close to being on the writers team, and it was super close. And this was back in 2010. I don't remember why I didn't get the nod, but it is a revolving door, and it's Mario. Did you interview there as well?
No, they never called me.
No,
I applied for a few things, but no, I never got an interview. You interviewed for writer?
I did. Yeah.
How was that?
It's as intimidating as you expect, and you feel the pressure, and you see him like sizing you up, because obviously it's a very visual medium, and it was on a video call, and you're just staring at you, and it feels like you're auditioning, right? Basically, even though you're not going to be on-air talent, but you're going to have to deal with a lot of very powerful personalities, and so it was a little bit intimidating in that sense. But I mean, being in the industry, I was kind of okay with it. And he was just like, and he was just like, had the awkward pauses in there. Yeah. I mean, you got everything. And I was like, oh man, the suspense was rough, and he's like,
that was a while ago. That's before video calls were normal, so it's probably even more intimidating. It's just like a weird sci-fi futuristic job interview.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lot worse. It was the Paul Reiser in Alien feel. It was just like, and then in typical Hollywood fashion, he didn't say no. He's like, yeah, well, just keep us in mind, and we'll call you in a few years. I was like, damn. And
keep us in mind.
Yeah, keep us in mind. I was like, dude, I've been on my mind since 1983. Oh, Mario, we have our next guest here before we go to the next match. I don't know if you want me to grab him, or you want to grab. He's actually at the door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do we need to go to break real quick?
Yeah, Nick. Well, let's take a quick break, and we still got a couple of matches we want to cover, but we just got to do a quick break and do some pay the bills. So quick word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
When it's late and your productivity is falling off, you can splash a little water on your face, or better yet, revive with Vivarin. Government-appointed experts say it's safe and works, and all you need is one glass of water. So revive with Vivarin.
You, behind the coffee cup, show us your Caffrey smile. Caffrey decaffeinates your smile. Caffrey toothpaste helps keep coffee and tea from staining your smile like they stain your cup. Get Caffrey toothpaste or gel and show us your Caffrey smile.
Usually I get things right. I do, but not my perms. Almost right, not quite right, wrong. So now what? Precisely Right by Ogilvy. The perm you can't get wrong because it shuts itself off so it won't over-perm or frizz. Look, beautiful body and soft, shiny curl. I finally got it right. Precisely Right by Ogilvy. You just can't get it wrong.
This bartender's next big league pitcher and loves to serve fire-brewed Strohs. See what I mean? That was his fastball. That was the curve. Look out. Wild pitch. What was that? Relief pitcher.
Strohs and Stroh Light, fire-brewed for smoother taste.
Okay, wait, we're coming back. Are you ready to start?
Yep.
Go back to show mode.
Show mode.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about it. We had to take care of some business. The show's live. We're live, pal. This is what we got to do. So, Nick, we got two more matches we want to do before we wrap up this segment. So we had the next match. We had Mr. McMahon's personal protege, Theory. They dropped Austin. They got rid of Austin. Now it's just Theory, the master of the...
He's just Theory now? Which I kind of like that as a name, honestly. But
yeah, I was actually surprised they let him keep Austin. Obviously, they had an Austin, so I'm surprised they let it keep it. It was me, Austin. It was me all along. But yeah, Theory, he went over on the returning Mustafa Ali, which I did not see that coming because he was having real-life contract disputes But Theory, Vince loves Theory, man. Vince got a boner for Theory. He went over
a
clean.
big one.
Yep. So for the U.S. Championship, 10-minute match. But I was not a Theory guy, because to me, he just reminded me too much of the Thunderdome era, an era that we all want to forget. He kind of came in as one of the Los Lotharios, and then he was one of Seth's acolytes, and they just kept flip-flopping him, and now all of a sudden he's been anointed as the next John Cena, and Vince is really putting everything into him. And he won me over at WrestleMania for his bump, that stunner bump. I was just like, okay, I mean, clearly he can work, and at least he is a character. He's saying he's doing what I'm saying. Not everybody's got to be a badass, and he's just going out there, taking his selfies and winning. So I was okay with this. Nick, how did you feel about this match?
Yeah, actually, it went exactly the way I expected this match to went, because it was an onslaught of Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, and it was
totally. It was a payback from Vince, so saying, "I'm the guy in charge."
Yeah. And you know what? And they really leaned into, they wanted Theory to get booed because Mustafa Ali was announced as Chicago's own, right? So he was the hometown guy, so they wanted him to get that pop. And I think he already was a little bit of a internet darling, just for the simple fact is everyone knew that he was stuck in a contract dispute, and he was doing the MJF, fire me, free Ali. So everybody was surprised to see him back. But there was really, again, this could have been a Monday Night Raw match. This really didn't push. But, let's get to that other juicy slice of bread that we got to get to.
Oh, yes.
Cody Rhodes goes over on Seth freaking Rollins in a 25-minute match, which he cleared the trilogy. He went over 3 times in a row. But here's the big thing. The big news coming out of this was they didn't even think Cody was going to have this match because the rumor was he was injured, and he's like, no, I'm not really injured, but I did tear my pec. But then the the meat tore completely from the bone. And when he took off that ring jacket after his this is Dusty's kid, because he sold that, and obviously he didn't have to sell it much because it was legitimate, because the whole left side of his body was completely purple, and you saw that his arm was swollen, and it's just like, he's really going to work this match like this? And it got mainstream attention. There's doctors making YouTube videos on if Cody should have worked and if it was possible for him to work, and he still put on a freaking fantastic match with basically a torn pec.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch, actually.
This performance was unreal.
Really perfect build-up, actually. Everyone was buying into it. At first, everyone thought, Cody will take this for sure. But with the torn pec and this, I was actually a little bit in doubt if they were going to give this to Seth freaking Rollins.
I thought they were gonna. I thought I was just like, okay, well, Cody got the WrestleMania match. He got the Backlash match. I guess they're going to let Seth take one. So I really was surprised. But, Mario, I don't know if you saw, they leaned into that. They leaned into the AEW angle because they got the sledgehammer back. And, when Cody hit the sledgehammer against the throne, and they leaned into that, and they played with the Triple H callbacks and then the mind games because he hit him with the pedigree. And then Seth Rollins comes out in the Dusty Rhodes polka dots, the 1989s, Sweet Sapphire, if you will. He had the polka dots on, and it's just like everything about this was so good. And what makes a great babyface is freaking sympathy, right? That is the Ricky Morton babyface. You need to have sympathy. And everybody had it as soon as Cody took off his coat, because they're like, my God, what the hell happened to your freaking chest? It was so purple. It was
so good. Actually, it was what everyone loves to say. It was a picture-perfect example of how to get people over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Mike said, and now, obviously, he's going to take a break, and the break is probably going to benefit him because now he's going out on a high note. Everybody's going to remember this gutsy performance that has doctors going to YouTube and saying how this is possible. That's that mainstream appeal. And, it's just going to work, and now he can go and then the next night on Raw, they're like, I'm getting that Money in the Bank, and he's gunning for Roman, And then Seth comes out and in a sincere moment and shakes his hand and is like, you're great. I respect you. But then obviously he jumped him and he hit him with the hammer to. I don't know how much. I don't know, Mario, if you heard how much time Cody's going to be out.
It's like a few months.
Yeah,
it's going to be a while. And I mean, I'm sure that they'll set up some kind of a strategic comeback. I mean, they might hold him till Royal Rumble.
They could, and he'll get a Road Warrior pop if that's when he does return. But it's just, again, the Mike saying it, in the chat here, the tribute is just so good because it touches on the good parts of Triple H and the good parts of Dusty Rhodes, and he's gonna get another special pop. And this is the guy that AEW fans were turning on. And he was literally doing the same.
Why were we booing him?
Yeah, I never did because I was like, man, he's cutting some killer promos, and he dropped somewhat of a pipe bomb on Tony Khan for bad contract negotiations before MJF did. Remember, he's like, it's not the contract I wanted, and I was like, oh, I can't believe they let him say it, but that must mean he signed it, and then he leaves.
Yeah, he was acting squirrely there for a while. Remember when he took off his boots in the ring and was acting like he was about to retire?
Yeah, like he was going to retire, and then literally to tell the fans, I'm not turning heel. Stop booing me. I'm not turning heel. I don't care what you do. And and he literally didn't and left the company. And now, would you guys agree that he's the hottest act in WWE? And not only is he the hottest act in WWE. Other talents are benefiting from his momentum. Other matches are elevated. This pay-per-view would not have been as exciting to me if it was Roman on top with somebody else. I was ready to see Cody. Everybody's benefiting from this.
Oh, Lee's on. He wants to talk about the boys.
Yeah, boys is coming up next, man. We're going to talk about boys. We've got a special in-studio guest that we're going to be talking about that. But Nick, I want to give you the last word. What time is it there in Denmark? Are we at 2? Did we hit the 2 a.m. mark?
It's going nearly to 2 o'clock.
All right, the 2 a.m. So I think you've earned the last word. So what would be, if you had to give the elevator pitch on Hell in the Cell, what would it be?
I could actually say it in 2 words. Cody Rhodes.
Cody freaking Rhodes. We'll add a third word in there.
It was that easy. But actually, thank you guys for this chat. Hopefully, I can get myself invited to another one.
Yeah, no, you're in. You're officially Dos Incredibles International. We got that Denmark presence. So yeah, if you want to get a custom mask and. Yeah, send us some links our way because we know we would like to think that we're making our presence known in the Denmark independent wrestling scene as well. I feel like thank you for that nod there. So if we're more than welcome if you ever want to talk about any angles or anything that you guys are doing, just hit us up and we'll have you back on the show again.
But actually, for me, it will be great that we could do some kind of cooperation. I will gladly be a part of the Dos Incredibles international branch.
Wait, are you telling me one more match? One more match?
Yeah,
I always feel like I got one more match. I feel like you got one more match. I always
got one more match.
There's always
you guys.
One. Yes, the last match. One more match is always the next match.
You need to do your gimmick. Go out there and wrestle a computer.
Yeah, that's just slam servers. Slam servers, daddy. All right, Nick. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our Hell in the Cell review. I'm going to give this pay-per-view a thumbs up just because of that Cody match and that opening match, the triple threat with the ladies. So that those 2 matches made this live event feel like a premium live event.
It surely did.
Yes, it did.
Surely did.
All right, Nick. Thank you so much. We'll chat with you soon, and then chat. Yeah, we're gonna just stick around. We'll get a word from a couple of our sponsors, and then we'll get things. We'll keep the show going because we're live, Daddy.
Yeah. Bye.
This bartender's the next big league pitcher and loves to serve fire-brewed Strohs. See what I mean? That was his fastball. That was the curve. Look out. Wild pitch.
What was that?
Relief pitcher.
Strohs and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
You've got a thirst to win. Only one soda gives you that extra oomph you need to be your best. Oomph Cola, packed with ginseng, taurine, and Pop Rocks. With the power of Pop Rocks and Cola combined, your stomach lining will be ripped apart by tiny pockets of carbon dioxide. But not before Sweet Victory, Oomph Cola, and Pop Rocks. The deadly soft drink with a taste that's fantastic.
Okay, no, the show's starting now. You can't talk about what you're going to do now.
Yep, that's it.
Back on to my...
Oh, yeah, we them boys! So we are ready to keep this show rolling. And we have another...
Say the phrase. You didn't say the phrase.
Oh, yes. We are producing kayfabe content, horror high spots, and culture pop for movie marks and lucha nerds. And speaking of nerds, we found one of the leaders, if you will. The leaders of nerd content. He's a very dear, close, longtime personal friend and associate. Please welcome the Geek Commander, Brian Rose. B Rose, what's up, man?
What's going on? I almost feel like I need my own theme music.
Yeah,
we got music going for you.
Yeah, we got some.
There we go.
Got some music going. There we go.
I don't have the same purple markings that Cody Rhodes has, but
Yeah, so
I'm not taking off this shirt to show it off.
Is that where I saw you there, just like banging your chest there, just trying to purple it up?
Just making sure I still feel something.
I just want to feel so. But yeah, we were talking about that. We obviously have a history. This, I guess, it would be considered that you did one of the very first Dos Incredibles shows, because we did a live show at the drive-in for the double feature of Idiocracy and Office Space with also friend of the show, Randall Reeder.
Yep.
And yeah, you were the co-host for that, and we beat the crap out of a printer that night.
That was super fun.
Yeah, that was a good time. We need to go back to the drive-in feel. That was a cool night. We literally did that on the fly. We brought all that gear there. So
that lives somewhere out there on Facebook somewhere.
Yeah, that was
in
right.
between all the Capitol storming stuff.
Yeah, that was when Facebook Live was just like, yeah, we need to do more Facebook Live stuff. So, but yeah, that was a good time. And you were, but yeah, you've been a long time pop culture guy. We worked together at a television studio, which all three of us worked there. Just Mario was there at a completely different time.
Oh, Liquidation Channel.
Yeah, we were a completely different time. But that's when I really started noticing, because your desk had a lot of pop culture stuff on there, a lot of flair.
Yeah, big toy collector. So my desk, whether it's at home or whether it's at the office, I've usually got between Funko Pops and all the other stuff just all around my desk, just because I need to. When you're at work, you need something that kind of feels like home, anyways, and so you kind of need to make it your own. So I was always I'm going to put as much stuff as I want there, just to kind of make it my own little space.
Yeah, you did, and that's when I really noticed. I was like, oh, and I think it was like, we need to go to grab the lunch, because then you're like, oh, you're the Geek Commander. I was just like, you already had your gimmick name going. So I was just, oh yeah. So I was like, we got to get Brian on here and talk about The Boys, which is one of the big pop. I just feel like, I was telling Mike, you're out there. We were just talking yesterday. I just feel like so much content has dropped in the past month alone, and it has not stopped. I mean, the content is just, it feels like summer movie drops, but at the same time, it's dropping on streaming as well. So it was really hard to pick, because I know you're well versed on all of these, and we can talk about any of these. But I just think let's just do The Boys, because Mario, you're huge on The Boys right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best show on TV right now.
Yeah,
like for a lot of reasons. It really, it's a critique on a lot of stuff that's going on, and I think one of the things you can tell that it's so well made, no one calls it out for being like overtly political.
Oh,
and it's super political. Yeah. It makes fun of everything.
Yeah,
but it's never getting like picked apart on Twitter or whatever.
No, well, yeah, and they're leaning into their whole the Twitter stuff around it, right? Because the Dawn of the Seven, is the release the Burke cut, and they weaved in that real stuff that we're going through in the real world with the release the Snyder cut, with what's going on in the show, right, with Stormfront. And they're like, oh, well, now we can't do it. We shot all this stuff with her, and like, wow, that literally would happen in real. It has happened, right? We're still dealing with that. With like, are we ever going to see the Flashpoint if Ezra Miller stops beating up different people? Boys, girl, like he'll dress as a girl and beat up a boy. He'll dress as a boy, beat up a girl. It's just like, dude, stop hitting people. I want to see the freaking Flash.
Sidebar, yeah, I mean, that's crazy. There's more Ezra Miller stuff dropping right now. I don't know if you can see the live updates, but it's getting way worse. But what's crazy about that is as his whole, everything's getting worse with him, they say the movie's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the chance. It's like, are we going to see it, or are they going to just, because, the whole Secrets of Dumbledore, kind of took a hit a little bit, and just with the recasting, and are they going to take a chance? And Aquaman 2 is already preemptively taking...
But just back to the boys, though.
Yeah, it's preemptively taking a hit for it. But yeah, and Mike brought up a good point. Would Cody Rhodes have his jacket if it wasn't for Homelander? Because when they were going to turn him... Well, we suggested, like...
Solid point.
Yeah, if you were going to turn him heel, you might as well go the Homelander route. And it's just like, I'm Cody Rhodes, just like Homelander is Homelander. But man... Talk about, everyone's like, you're going to be really surprised on this first episode. Brian, I don't know if you want to do the honors in that, because man, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, that was definitely it's an explosive way to kick off a season, pun intended. I mean, the show over 2 seasons has done a good job of kind of subverting expectations and kind of going there when you don't think it will, and kind of surprising you with a lot of things. But yeah, like a lot of people, I mean, that the show opens with that nice little feature of the film coming through, and you get that really nice cameo. I mean, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You get the nice little cameo from Charlize, pops in, and you're like, oh, this is great. And then we go into the party, and you just kind of have to marvel at the process of someone coming up with that concept and just keeping it going. I've always loved throughout the seasons how you can always kind of see where those characters are based in, Marvel versus DC,
right?
They kind of run off those character traits, and so seeing, kind of their homage to Ant-Man, and going the whole meta perverse way, because you over the last years you've seen that online where people talk about, why didn't Ant-Man just crawl up Thanos' butt and just explode?
Right, yeah, exactly.
And so it's really like they just said, okay, well, let's see what that's going to look like, and let's just go in a completely opposite direction.
Right.
Except we'll make it way worse.
Yeah, because
we could make it worse than that.
You're going to get 50% of the people that are going to squirm for different reasons on that one.
Yeah.
I did not. And then, it was pretty graphic. And I guess it was always known for being graphic, right? Because that was the first thing, right? When A-Train literally ran through his girlfriend and she like exploded. I was like, wow, that was really graphic. And now that's all you ever see, right? With the Whale last season, like they're all about body explosions.
Well, I mean, that's one of the benefits of being on a streamer is you really can do whatever you want, in essence, because you're not restricted by, network or even cable, things like that. And so you can really kind of push the envelope. I mean, Amazon, especially with another comic-based show, like if you've seen Invincible yet, even though it's more of an animated show, you see them pushing the boundaries of what you can show, and they're just kind of, they don't care. They're going to do what they want to do to service the story, and hopefully people will stay on board with it. That's
a good point. They did do that with Invincible as well, because I remember, wow, it's just like so many teeth getting knocked out. It was really graphic.
Yes, they are doing Herogasm this season. It's episode 6. I know that for a fact.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Yeah, that's the rumor. So how many episodes do they got this? So, because we already got 3.
I think it's only 8.
It's going to be 8. But yeah, it's compelling TV. I think they didn't suffer from a sophomore slump. I feel like it went in really well. So then I was just like, okay, maybe this is going to be the one. And man, no, it's not. It's not happening. To me, it's just like, what's the elevator pitch? Is just like, can you? All right, for all you Saturday morning cartoon watchers, what if the Super Friends were actually the Legion of Doom, and the Super Friends had no superpowers? I was like, wow, that's just because Homelander's look, like his smile, like everything about him, like he's about to snap. And when he had that, and I don't know if we want to go sequentially or if we just want to talk about it, but when he had that moment that he's like, fine, release the video. And then he slowly started just like telling her how he was going to dismantle the entire planet because I have nothing left to lose. What a heel, man. Like, what was just like, holy shit. He just flipped everything on his head. He's the best heel on TV right now.
Oh, hands down. He's one of the most well-written villains just in the world.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about the perfect casting. He is so fantastic, and you can just tell that it's so much fun when you have a character, especially a villainous character that is so well written that you can kind of just relish playing.
Yeah.
With that dialogue and what was really nice too is, you have this character who is for the most part invincible, and they found that Achilles heel to take him down a peg in season 2 by threatening with the video. And you kind of think, oh, well, maybe they've finally done something where they're going to be able to keep him in check. And then with this season, they were like, nope.
Yeah.
You thought that, but here we go. We found a way. He just doesn't care. And it's a nice way of exposing that flaw, possibly, and then flipping the table on it.
Yeah, and they did. Because really, if you had somebody that was invincible like that, the only thing that's keeping him in check is his ego. And just like, that's not really... He could all of a sudden just change his mind. It's like, I don't care anymore, which is kind of what he did. And like, wow, okay, now everybody's back to being at his mercy. I don't even know, what was Anthony Starr in before this?
He was in a show in Australia. Man, I can't think of it off the top of my head because you put me on the spot, of course.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, I mean, he's one of the, it almost sounds wrong to say, but just surprises. Because I hadn't seen him in anything before this.
No, me neither.
And he's got those just almost Tom Cruise-esque movie star looks.
Yeah.
Like, especially his eyes. I mean, the eyes, especially when he's playing Homelander, is one of the most captivating things because he just puts so much emotion into it. And you can, if he wasn't saying anything, you could just see in his eyes exactly what he's actually feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a funny... He encapsulates this character so well. Like, do you see him when he's not in his Homelander gear? He's a good-looking guy, though, but he looks nothing like him, even though he does look like him, but he doesn't look like him. And I was just like, wow, I'm so into this character of Homelander. That's all I see when he's Homelander, but when he's not, you don't even... It's like, oh, I kind of see it. You could be Homelander's little brother, you know.
Well,
but
he's like... Here's the thing with Homelander is, like, you said... superheroes being like the Legion of Doom or whatever. It's not that. Imagine if like Ted Bundy had superpowers and John Wayne Gacy and all these like serial killer folks had superpowers. That's what Homelander is. Like, and I think you're seeing him sort of, his arc is he's turning into a serial killer.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that's crazy.
And the perfect foe for him, I guess, is more not as much Huey, it's more Butcher. And Butcher's having a great arc coming back too. Obviously, we're huge fans of Carl Urban as well, but as great as he was, he just seemed like he was no match. But then again, I was like, well, how come Lex Luthor, who had no superpowers for most of the time, was always a match for Superman, who was also invincible? And that's how I was able to justify it in my head. It's just like, okay, Butcher is just like going to be... find a way to always outsmart him, but any second he could crush him whenever he wants. But then why doesn't he crush him? And then they kind of lean into that in this season. They already started leaning into. He's like, I know, I need you. We're gonna sit and we're gonna chat about it. And he doesn't take him out, and it's almost like he needs Butcher there as much as Butcher in a way needs him.
Did that really happen though?
Yeah, I mean when they sat and they had that small.
Was that real?
Yeah.
Are you sure, or was that a hallucination from Compound V?
Oh, you're saying, I was like, yeah, it happened on... No, you're right. And, Lee was just talking about that Compound V arc is going to be really good.
I think he's having like hallucinations or something.
Right. He totally could have been having an hallucination on that, because, that whole... You can have now... I feel like that could be ripped from the headlines. You have... Here's this Compound V, we're going to call it something different, and gives you superpowers for 24 hours. Now it's just like, now it's almost like you're leaning into the Purge territory, because what if some psycho gets it? Because Butcher, pretty much always had his moral compass, even though he's not afraid to knock your teeth out. And then you saw what he did to his gunpowder. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, that was a vicious fight. Brian, I don't know if that one caught you off guard, but it definitely caught me. I was like, wow, he really, like, again, there's something about teeth getting smashed that always gets me, but then the slicing of the head and the brains oozing out, I was like, wow, this guy is unreal.
Well, it's interesting, too, because you have Butcher, who is a violent character. He's not necessarily the bad guy, but he's a violent character and is unafraid of showing that.
Yeah.
And so when you take that and give him something like the Compound V, you're giving him that strength that he's always, whether he admits it or not, has always wanted and been jealous of. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think a big thing of it is too is, he hates the soups, but I think there is a part that probably stems from knowing what he could do if he had that.
You're right. That's a good call.
And so I think that's a big thing too, is like now that he, even if it's only for 24 hours, he has that. And it just accentuates the kind of the violent tendencies that he does have, especially when he's, pushed to the boundary. But like what you were talking about too, about how, what if this falls into the wrong hands? They talk about it, using it as a military asset and things like that, and being able to, handle things. But in the wrong hands, if someone completes, a mission using this Compound V within 4 hours, they've still got 20 hours of just unyielding strength, or depending on what it is. And so, like, I'm hoping that they'll lean into that a little bit more throughout the rest of this season. Kind of like, what are the consequences of more of the wrong people?
Right.
Because we see what Homelander is. And while he is a villain and he's terrible in all these different ways, there's always going to be one person who's just a bit worse.
Yeah.
And what happens if that person gets a hold of it? Even 24 hours, what kind of damage can they do to humanity within just a 24-hour period?
And I'm really glad that they waited on, bringing the powers to the boys, because in the books they have them immediately.
Oh, they did that
very,
pretty quick.
very early in the story, and I think it was a smart idea to hold that till the 3rd season and then start bringing it out slowly.
Yeah.
Because I think they'll all get powers at some point, right? And we still don't know what the effects are. They're like, it lasts 24 hours, but we don't know. We're still working out the bugs, so they could end up with powers for good.
Man, no, it's been really good. But Soldier Boy, let's talk a little bit about him, because we just assumed, right, that Homelander had this ego, and he was invincible and had nobody. He couldn't really empathize with anyone because he's like, there's nobody like me. But now I feel like Soldier Boy was that too, right? Am I wrong? I don't know anything about him. I didn't read the books, but it sounds like he was pretty much a scumbag as well.
There was multiple versions of him in the book, but I think one was like a diva and the other one was just like a coward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I think they're sort of combining both. But they haven't really revealed much about him. It's got some secret plot. I guess they thought. I don't know what's going on, honestly.
I know they pitched him as douchey Captain America, right? So I don't know, man. I am excited to see where they're going to go with that. How do you guys feel about Huey as a character? Originally he was going to be. I didn't know this. It was originally going to be Simon Pegg. This show's been in developments for so long that Simon Pegg aged out of the role, so then they put Jack Quaid in there, and then Simon Pegg became his dad.
If you look at the book, it looks exactly like him.
It does look like him?
Yeah. When they originally, I haven't read the book because once this came out, I was like, oh, it's a comic, I'm going to read this. But then I was just like, honestly, most of the stuff I watch, I've read the books that are based off of it, and this show particularly, I was like, I don't want to know anything ahead of time. I want to experience it like most people are going to, so I didn't even read the books, but I read a little bit about it, and reading that the character was actually kind of based on Pegg's look and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which is why it was such a nice little Easter egg when they brought him in as Huey's father.
Yeah, I thought that was fun.
I love what they've done with him because throughout these first 2 seasons, you don't really see him displaying much in terms of strength, both physically or even emotionally. And now that they've kind of put him in this role where he's working with the government on the superhero menace or whatever you want to call it, they've given him some extra confidence. Just even in the way he's standing up to Butcher a little bit more.
Yeah,
he did a little bit in the previous seasons, but it seems like he's got the confidence now to where he's not just faking it. He actually does feel like he can stand up to him and at least give it to him just as well as it gets.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that. Sorry, I lost my train.
He's definitely growing as a character, I think.
Yeah.
He's he's like the audience surrogate. He's the one who brought us into the story.
That's the way to put it. Yeah.
He's the one who introduced us the story. His fiance got killed by the what was it? A-Train? Yeah, A-Train.
A-Train, yeah.
And yeah, it's good. And
I love that he's a mark for Billy Joel. I love
I love the T-shirt game in this show.
Yeah,
the T-shirt game is off the hook. Like, yeah,
I think that works really well. It's just it's the little things that are really adding to it. And I don't know, I really do. But that's a good way to put it, that he is the surrogate for because a lot of times he'll do stuff, and they were leading up to it. That season 3, he's finally like, you know what, you're right, we have to do it your way. Where before that, you feel like, you know what, your hesitation is going to get people hurt. And that's where probably most people would hesitate in doing that. They wouldn't necessarily, it's easy to say that it's just like, oh, if I had this, I would do that. But you really don't know what you're going to do until you're in that. That's when you're going to know. And I feel like Huey's is exactly like that. These people he wouldn't know what he would do. Like, just even the tense scene, like when he bumped, it was small. When he bumped into Homelander on the red carpet, that was so small, but like I felt that internal gasp at that moment, like, oh shit, because we've been leading up to this, like, and he can take him out in a second, and he didn't, and he just bumped into him. I thought that was really, really cool.
Well, we also see too a little bit of his reaction to and how he handles certain moments, because he's displaying all this confidence because he's gotten a little bit of success with his job. But then when we see him following Nadia, I believe is her name is, we're following her in the alley, and we see her reveal herself for the first time to somebody else, which is she doesn't realize he's there, but he cowers and he's terrified.
Yeah.
And so you kind of see, like, even with that confidence, he still understands that without powers, he is completely out of his element.
Yeah.
Especially when someone that he felt like he knew and was bonding with just kind of flips that on him. He's terrified and cowers the whole time.
Yeah. No, and you're right. And he even brought that up. He's like, shit, I shout out for the Untouchables, shout out that he put in there. But he's like, I just finally thought I had things going my way. And now, something happens. This sucks. But he plays terrified very, very well. But what a gnarly superpower she has. She's just a head popper, man. So it's like, what the hell kind of super? It's like, oh, I'm a head popper, and I dig her. I think I want to see her do. I want to see. I don't know where they're gonna. Again, I didn't read the books, but this is what this show does really well. As well, among other things, is it feels like it's the ECW of shows, whereas every character means something, and they have some kind of arc that's leading something that's going to tie all together. But there's no throwaway characters in here. And then when they are throwaways, they serve a purpose, right? It's just like Termite, it's going to, you're going to do it for the laugh. He's going to accidentally explode through his boyfriend's penis.
I'm not sure that's a throwaway moment. That's probably one of the most scarring, emotionally, tormenting thing you'll ever see on screen, I think. I don't think anybody should ever watch that.
I did not see it coming. I mean, and again, we were all a big fan of the Thanos art and of the Ant-Man thing happening, but we was like, fine, you want to see it? This is what it's going to look like.
Well, that's the beauty of the show, too, is the fact that they can go from something like that to where it's just this horrific scene that you're experiencing, and they just 180 right into humor. So seeing Butcher come through with that little bag of cocaine and seeing him shake it is one of the funniest things ever. And just you see him in that bag when they pour him out, like he's just in a mound of cocaine, and it's like sticking to him and things like that. The fact that they can go from something so horrific and just pull that humor off like that is just a talent to how well they know the characters and how well they know the tone of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they got the notes, they know the tone, they understand the lure, they understand everything going in. But yeah, you're right. When he shook him up like a chicken cutlet with some shake and bake.
Well, shake and bake action.
And then, like, there's so much going on with, what's the name of the guy? Combat? Or what was the dude's name? Gunpowder?
Gunpowder, yeah.
Gunpowder. He's at that,
the gun rally.
Gun show.
Oh, my gosh.
And doing that whole bit. And on the other side, you've got when they go to Votland and they're at the food court or whatever, and everything is like it's like LGBT turkey legs and like what was it, lesbian veggie tacos or something?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the woke wok is the one that stuck with me.
Yeah, like everything.
That a woke wok.
And they're just totally playing into that whole, and like Vought is this soulless company that wants to profit off anything. Any premise that they can put out there. Yeah, sure. If we can make money off it, let's do it.
Yeah, and then they did. I was happy to see Laurie Holden come back. I didn't expect that. And I like I'm a huge fan of the Snyder cut of Watchmen, and I love the throwback heroes. So to see the old school throwback heroes of Payback, and then where she is now, and she's just basically almost like a lounge singer, but she's another body exploder for sure.
A lot of body exploders in this show.
Yeah, so I don't know what
they're making good use out of that. Those comps.
I don't know where they're going to go with this again, and it's not there. So, but I'm sure it's going to come up pretty quick. Of just like, are they going to lead to? There's clearly some kind of cover up that they have, and now the big get is find the weapon. Like you said, they took away the Homelander's weakness. He doesn't care anymore, and now he's like, I'm gonna pretend you're my girlfriend. I'm gonna make you kiss me. Now I'm gonna make you suffer for all the suffering that you put me through, and now it's gonna really make getting that weapon, the utmost importance. And I think that's gonna add to it. And we're clearly, again, I don't want to say never, but I mean, I don't think they're gonna be taking Homelander out. But wow, that's the big get. So I don't know where that's gonna go.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where they're going to go with it because, casting Jensen Ackles that's not a small thing to do.
No.
If you're going to bring in someone like that who's been on a hugely popular, successful show, especially a pop culture show like Supernatural,
yes,
you're not just going to bring him in to throw him away. And so far we've only seen Soldier Boy in the flashbacks, and I just don't think they could bring someone in like that and just leave it as a flashback thing. So personally, I'm hoping that either he's still alive and that's the cover-up, or the fact that Laurie Holden, I forgot her character's name now.
Crimson Countess? Crimson Countess.
Yes. That maybe she killed him, and that's the cover-up, because no one was there to physically see it. So I'm interested to see how they're going to play it, but I don't think you can bring in someone like Jensen Ackles and just have them do flashbacks.
Yeah,
I kind of think there's got to be more than that.
Yeah, there's got to be something way more than that. And
he's definitely going to be back. I mean, they've showed a lot of footage of him. They're waking him up or something.
Yeah, he's got to
pulling the Captain America and getting him unfrozen.
Yeah, he's douchey Captain America, so he's in douchey ice, and they're gonna defrost him. Podcat in the house. What are your guys feeling on the Deep?
I have to hijack the podcast right now because I think it's very important we talk about how twisted it is that Homelander had Stormfront's corpse, or not her corpse, but her body in his living room.
Oh, the stunt. Yeah.
That was super twisted. Like, I felt pain watching that, imagining the scenario where that's your life. It's like the Metallica 1 video, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're armless and legless and just like, that's all you can do, just lay in. And she's just like tortured.
Yeah, and but he still was just like dry humping her, or yeah, he's still doing.
Well, he's like in there, like trying to get her to wish him happy birthday, and just talking about himself over and over, and then like, yeah, he like tries to like give him a hand job or whatever, but it's just, she's just so miserable, and you hear it in like her squeals when he like pulls away and stuff. That was almost as bad as the exploding dick hole.
Yeah, I was actually surprised they brought her. I didn't think they were going to bring her back. And then to bring her back, and they waste nothing. They use every morsel, and they actually use that to make you dislike him even more. That he pretty much just had her to like leaned in, and they lean more into a lot of the awkward sex stuff than Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, they really lean into it with between the Deep and Homelander, and now the Herogasm thing that's coming up this season. That's really, they're like, oh, you're right, this is on Amazon. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Well, you see it a little bit too with Homelander specifically. He's always had that female character that's been kind of his surrogate. So Elizabeth Shue was in that first season, and there was all this inappropriateness going on with that, with the breast milk and things like that. And then with her gone, they bring in Stormfront, and she kind of takes the place of that surrogate for him in terms of, you can kind of see, and it's almost a sadness thing. If he wasn't so awful, you kind of feel bad that he just wants to feel that kind of love that he doesn't think he really will ever get. And so, and in the end, we usually destroy the things we love. And so it's happened twice now, and that's why I'm interested to see where they're going to go with Starlight. Now that he's pushing that, I mean, we've seen that she has strength, and we've in this last episode, the third episode, we saw at the beginning the kind of bookends at the front and the end of the episode, her basically holding back, knowing that she needs to just ride the wave.
Yeah.
And seeing her clench that fist. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see her fall prey to the previous women in his life, or if she's going to find some way to fight back.
Yeah, and she's in a real, I mean, they definitely put her behind the eight ball between bringing the Deep back and now leaning into this, like, Homelander's deciding you're my girl. And then she has, you know, her previous love, her teenage love interest. And then on top of that, she has Huey. Yeah, she's going to be stretched really thin. And I guess she was the closest more than Huey as far as, like, having that moral compass of just, like, leading the charge, and now that's going to be put to the test.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think about the Deep with the octopus? What was that?
That's also super traumatizing. He could hear the octopus begging for mercy in his mouth.
That was
while he was eating it.
so. Again, what a great performance, Chance Crawford, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm.
What a great performance that he's like he's begging for his life. That's Timothy. He's begging. He's telling me he has children. Like, he's giving you, like, the play-by-play of, like, as he's like, I'm sorry, I got to eat you. I didn't know if he was going to make him pull that off, and he did. It's like, man, this guy, again, the ultimate heel. Like, he's just like, I'm going to make you eat your best friend.
Yeah. Well, it was too, because you see him when he's with his wife, and they're just going for it, and he's making the eye contact with him in the aquarium, and everything he's saying, you're so wet and everything like that. You can just see that he's got that. He's always kind of had that. In people, we talk about it a little bit in Peacemaker when he talks about how Aquaman fucks fish.
Oh, yeah.
And the Deep is kind of that version of Aquaman. And so, like, the idea that he has this sensual nature with aquatic life and whatnot almost makes it, dare I say, even more sad.
Yeah.
When he's got to eat him, because you can sense that there's, like, something there already, and he's having to eat not just a friend but almost a lover.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way.
Yeah, that's a good point. And he really, he was, again, there's nobody, like, does Homelander like anybody? Like, he's just manipulating. I don't know, like, I guess Mike brought up the shapeshifter, and then didn't he explode him as well?
Yeah, he killed the shapeshifter.
Yeah, he killed the shapeshifter, right? So, I don't know who's gonna, again, what an ultimate villain. Like, it just, again, that's the Brightburner. Just like, what if Superman was a heel?
What if Hannibal Lecter had superpowers?
Man, and he really leans into that, and then
although Hannibal Lecter's kind of cool in a way, maybe not even him.
Yeah,
more like Ted Bundy or whatever.
Yeah, a little bit more Ted Bundy-ish. And then just trolling, like, he was trolling Maeve. He's getting on A-Train this week. He's like, I see you wearing a girdle. He's like telling him that, like, he's trolling him with that. And it's just like he's getting on everyone that I feel like they could lead to, this could have that injustice moment, because who really could stop him? And I guess don't tell me if you do know, but, like, I don't know who could stop him, because I feel like this weapon doesn't exist. I don't think it's going to exist, and I don't think they're necessarily going to get off that easy.
Well, they've done a really good job with Homelander in the fact that even though, he's an adult male, he is essentially a child inside.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah,
he's
that's
just
a good
petulant
point.
child, and you kind of see it, especially with the way he's acting now. Is, he was getting his way, and then something happened to where he wasn't getting his way, which made him lash out, and now he's getting his way again. So, he even said, like, the rules don't apply to him anymore.
Yeah.
And just like a child, once you do that, you're in the danger zone.
Yeah.
Because it's just. It's uncontrollable.
Yeah, no, it is. There is going to be no impulse control at all. You're just going to literally lash out. Mike brought up a good point. What if the weapon is his son? Or, like, maybe there's not going to be a weapon, but then they realize that now you're going to have that Darth Vader moment, right? It's just like, okay, now we got to protect the prodigal son long enough where he's going to have the experience that he's the only one that's going to be able to stop.
Well, I'll just say
Homelander.
this: Stan Edgar has zero fear of Homelander, right? He
Yeah.
never he doesn't flinch at all. Like everybody else is terrified of him, so he's got something over him. What that is, I don't know, but like,
Oh, you're right. Maybe
I think that's what's going to be the reveal. Is like, what does he have that he knows he can get away with talking to Homelander however he wants?
Stan Edgar was he was in the flashbacks too, right?
Yeah.
He was there was young Stan Edgar there, so yeah, so he's in on that too. Was that also was that a young Black Noir? Did we find out why he wears the mask?
Yeah, that was the thing. That was his kind of like the whole payback scene with that team. That was, Black Noir's kind of first, we see him before the scars had hit.
And they made a big point that he didn't want to wear a mask, and he was very vocal, and now he's the complete opposite. I do enjoy that character because he definitely has the Batman unhinged moments for sure. But to see him like that was cool. But I'm a fan of Frenchie. I like Mother's Milk. They're doing something there. They're going to tie all that together, right? So Frenchie has some history with I guess the Russian mafia, and that's going to somehow tie back to where that they're about to go overseas. And then Mother's Milk has some issue with Soldier Boy that they haven't really said yet. So it's going to be interesting if they do resurrect him, like how these guys, and are those guys, how are they going to feel? Are they going to take the 24-hour V? Because clearly I feel like Mother's Milk is more anti-Soups in a way than Butcher, right? So I feel like he would be busting his balls the most over it.
I think they're all going to take it.
You think that
everyone's going to take? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I feel like that's like the only way to go. You can't have. It's going to be the boys versus the 7 or whatever,
Oh, got it. Mike said Soldier Boy killed his father. Oh, so Soldier Boy killed Mother's Milk's dad.
He killed their family.
Oh, got it.
Killed his whole family.
Damn. But we don't know if it was intentional or not. If it was an A-Train moment or if it was a Homelander moment.
Well, it was one of those whatever friendly fire kind of things. But it says in that article that if you see it on the wall that the family lunged at him or they tried to run him over with a car or something like that.
Oh man! And do we know? So these books are still continuing. Do we know how many seasons of The Boys we're gonna get? I haven't heard anything.
Don't know.
Because there's so much.
As long as people are watching them, they're gonna make them.
Yeah. I feel like Amazon, like this is their number one show, right? As far as like getting Prime, you get Prime for The Boys. They have other good shows on there, but
Amazon, everybody has Amazon just for the shipping. And all of a sudden they throw the TV shows in for free.
These are the bonuses.
It's like you're at home anyway. Watch our channel, as we'll deliver whatever it is your cat food.
Yeah, that's pretty much how everyone started off with it. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get that. I don't know, and I guess I can see a time jump for sure if they're gonna do something with Homelander's kid. I did not expect Butcher's wife to be taken out of the pictures too soon. I don't know if you guys expected that. I really feel like that could have been something that was used as leverage, right? Like Homelander has his son that's used as the leverage. I was surprised that Butcher having this allegiance to, the baby that his wife had that wasn't his was going to be enough to do that. And I don't know about you. I just like, did he have a Harry and the Hendersons moment where all of a sudden he's going to just make this kid feel as bad as possible because he wants them to get away? What was the deal with that in that last episode?
Well, I think part of it too is, he took him in and has been doing all this for Becca, for his wife, to kind of honor her. And I think that part of that, especially learning from Grace, like all that information that she hid from him about her history with the groups and whatnot, and knowing the information, knowing that there could be a weapon, that kind of knowing that he could still have Becca, I think kind of just flips that switch for him. But I do think part of that, I think that he cares about Ryan and is almost distancing himself in a way because he knows that he's just going to invite death no
Yeah.
matter what he does. And it might be just kind of a way of doing the right thing and pushing him away so that he doesn't get hurt.
I like the idea of, that's a really good point. But then he's got to forget the whole nature versus nurture thing, right? You know, and was Homelander obviously the way he was brought up, you know, poured out of a test tube, as he said. Is that what made him completely psychotic? And now, obviously, his offspring, there's a chance he can have that. But then he also had Becca to give him that moral compass. So it was just like, okay, you don't have to be wild. But then you had that moment when he was giving him the Harry and Henderson's treatment where his eyes lit up and then he squeezed his arm to show that he could have a little bit of his dad's psychosis in there. And I don't know if that's going to what that's going to turn into. I do like the idea that Ryan could be the secret weapon to take him out. It kind of leans a little bit into Butcher last season, right, using the baby soup as a weapon, right? Because now they're weaponizing. But are we going to get to the point now where it's going to become the nuclear arms race, where if everybody has a super power, then that's what's going to cause everybody to kind of stand down? So it's just not complete carnage?
Or they're going to go the opposite way and just destroy each other.
Yeah, and just completely lean into that. What's going on with Maeve this season? I feel like, you know, she's more of an informant, but they haven't really leaned into, like, she's still technically part of the Seven, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably been my only complaint so far. I love Maeve as a character, just because in real life I'm such a Wonder Woman fan, and she's kind of that version. So I've always liked her character, and she's always, since the beginning of the show, you can see the compromise that she makes. Being a part of the Seven, knowing that, you know, especially with Homelander, she knows the things that he does.
Yeah.
And she still stays, and so you kind of see that conflict growing, especially in last season too, with the plane footage and things like that. So I've been a little disappointed that she's, I don't want to say sidelined, but she hasn't been as important, because I think that between her and Starlight, you've got two really strong female characters who are both physically strong, but also just strong characters to begin with.
Yeah.
And so I'm not as disappointed, because we are seeing Starlight kind of come into her own.
Right.
But I hope that it's not at the cost of Maeve, to where they're like, oh, we have one strong female character that we're going to push, and we're not going to push the other one.
Yeah, because I don't think they need to do that, right? I think they both have, if anything, they have the strength in numbers, and that's what's going to actually help take Homelander down. Like, I feel like they need to stick together. And now that, because before you weren't sure where Maeve stood, right? But then when you saw that, you know, Homelander obviously was not a fan of her sexual preference, and then they leaned into that. So it's to the point where he's ruling by fear, and the only way that you can topple fear is together, right? And I think that's what they're going to have to do.
So I'm going to hijack the podcast again.
Do for it.
Why is nobody complaining about this show? I feel like people should be out protesting in front of Amazon with all the things people complain about these days. I feel like there's nothing more disturbing on any of the channels right now, you know?
You're right. You know, Disney gets more heat for trying to do the right thing and calling them woke than Amazon gets for completely going in the opposite direction and say, we're going to do whatever the hell we want. And I feel like they're not getting any heat.
They get no heat. And, like, that's what's interesting about this show is, like, there's so much to complain about if you wanted to pick it apart. It offends everybody pretty much, you know?
I think the big difference, too, with that is, you know, especially with Disney having Marvel, Star Wars, and you're going to have this whole mentality of they're being woke or all that kind of stuff. A lot of it stems from the fact that if anything, quote-unquote, negative happens, it's happening to, for lack of a better word, heroic people, especially with Marvel. Whereas Amazon was a little smart. You're doing something with The Boys, and you're having all these atrocious things, but they're already bad people doing it. So
Right.
I think if you were to see Huey or Mother's Milk or someone doing some of this awful stuff, then you'd start seeing some of that. But I think the suspension of disbelief works. The fact that you've got these negative archetype people, and they're doing these, so it almost kind of seems expected in a way for a show that thrives on doing the unexpected. It's not as shocking because you have a villainous character doing that.
Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah. Because so if the heel's like, yeah, you're supposed to not like what I'm doing, you're supposed to boo me, and they're just going very deep in the next direction. So the deal with this, getting and that brings up a good point. Now, what's going to happen, because Butcher, he crossed that line, and it was a big deal. Even did he get away with that? Because it was happening to such a terrible person. Is that what made it okay, when he basically smashed his face in and then cut his head in half with his laser eyes? Are they gonna, Mario, I guess what I'm saying is, are they gonna build into the story arc exactly what you're talking about?
What do you mean?
He literally crossed the line. He did something horrific to somebody, but he did it to somebody who was already a POS, so that's what made it okay. But he crossed he had his rule book that he broke.
I think it's kind of the angle is that who really should have superpowers, right? Who watches The Watchmen? It's like who deserves and who has the moral fortitude to have superpowers without being corrupted. We all are like people and have weaknesses, right? I think that's sort of where they're going with that. And Butcher is already like got a lot of anger, right? He's got a lot of revenge that he wants to get paid out.
He has a lot of rage.
So like if he starts getting Homelander level superpowers, where's he going with that,
Yeah.
And we talk about how, each of the characters has their kind of counterpart, whether you're Marvel, DC, or anything like that. For Butcher, the closest thing you can kind of compare him to is the Punisher. You have a guy who is just filled with rage, doesn't, quote, really have a superpower, but, has that particular set of skills.
Yes.
I was about to say he actually is the Punisher, but no, he's Judge Dredd.
Yeah, exactly. And then you factor in the fact that now he's lost his wife, like Frank Castle, so he's kind of...
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
He may have crossed that line, but in the end, when you have a character similar to like the Punisher like that, they're perfectly fine crossing that line, because they're not like Batman where they're just, I'm never going to kill. It's almost kind of like, I'm not going to kill until I have to.
Yeah, right. And I guess, I don't know who would be Huey. Huey would remind me of like who watches The Watchmen, right? He would be the night owl. Like, what are you doing? That would be his superpower. What happened to the American dream? It came true. So I guess that's maybe why this show resonates, that, we're living in very strange times. And I guess a lot more people are seeing it as more, I can see if people these days got a superpower, that's exactly what they would do. Not just the people as a whole, but like the corporations and the entertainment that's all based on this, right? They had a reality show. That's who's going to decide who's going to be in the next, who's going to be in the 7, and we're going to make movies and we're going to merchandise it. That all feels real because that's basically what we're doing, right? But I don't know what in IRL would be the comparison to Vought. But
everything, Amazon,
Apple,
I guess
Facebook, it's like all of them combined.
I guess,
they're the stand-in for just corporate, big tech, big news, the whole thing, because they've got everything. They've got their hands in everything, which is the way a lot of these multimedia companies are, right?
Right.
But in the end, they just want to sell pharmaceuticals to the army because that's a better gig.
Yeah, that'll pay more. Well, so here's a question for you guys: would you pay to see Dawn of the Seven if they actually made that a real movie and they sold it as a meta movie? Because basically we're getting the behind the scenes of the making of the Seven. But do you want to see that? The trailer was great, right? The trailer was good and they really leaned into it. But do we want, or do we need to see that?
I'm gonna pass on that. I'm not gonna pay. It's free. You can't turn The Boys into a movie. It's free on Amazon with your shipping.
Yeah, and I guess Amazon didn't do like Netflix. They don't own a theater, so if they, because I'm just curious, like what happens next after? They're gonna want to keep The Boys going for as long as possible. I didn't. Did you guys watch The Boys Diabolical? Did you watch the shorts?
I did not.
It was basically the equivalent of the Animatrix. I didn't watch it. The first one, maybe the other ones are good, but I guess they didn't start strongest one first, because I remember starting watching and I was like, oh, this feels like, because isn't it executive produced by Seth Rogen?
I think that's right.
Yeah, I believe him and Evan Goldberg. Yeah.
Yeah, that they did that, and I was a fan of Preacher. I feel like Preacher would have really benefited from being on Amazon. Not that AMC pulled a bunch of punches, but
Mike says Vought feels like Disney. Here's the ultimate heel that we would get on the show. In real life, what if Disney, Amazon, and Facebook all merged into one giant and Fox News into one giant super corporation that just controlled everything? That's what Vought is.
I guess that is Vought. And didn't he said that, right? Look, in the end, we're not a multimedia company. We're a pharmaceutical. Didn't he literally say that in the last episode?
Yeah.
He kind of leaned into it. It's like, this is what we actually do. All this other stuff is just to sell these drugs, sell these drugs to the military. But I'm really curious where they're going to go with it. Again, there's just so much content that's out right now. But I did feel like if they gave you 3, you got to take the 3 and watch it. Did you guys binge it all at once, just in one sitting? Yeah. I stretched it over a couple of days.
No, I had to watch all 3. I think I've watched it twice.
Oh, you went through it twice?
Yeah. There's just so much. There's so much detail and everything. I'd like to see all the little things painted into the background.
Yeah.
All the little side jokes.
Well, it was one thing that I loved too, and it's not even really a huge thing, but I love the idea that they've started sowing some seeds here and there for turning the rest of the 7 into sympathetic, possibly heroic characters. We saw the backstory with Black Noir.
Yeah.
We've seen it with Maeve, and now they've done it with the Deep a little bit. They've tried making him a little more sympathetic, showing how terrified he is, and showing a few instances where he actually did want to change. And now they're doing it with A-Train.
Oh, that's a good point.
They're leaning into, him embracing his culture and the whole line of, I'm Michael Jordan, not Malcolm X. Which I thought was really interesting, because then you go from that, and then we go to Homelander quoting MLK.
Right.
And as trying to put himself in that kind of thing. So I'm interested to see where they take that, if they're sowing the seeds to have the rest of the 7 maybe turn on Homelander, because maybe that's what it's going to take. Maybe it's going to take all these different teams
to take him down. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, he's the only one that's pretty much sticking to the heel gimmick. I feel like the rest of the 7 are starting to pivot towards into sympathizing for them, or seeing why they are the way they are. That they were basically bullied by the ultimate villain into doing exactly what he said, because he's ruling by fear. He's their emperor. And
that's how you can tell when you've written a great, strong villain, is when they're so bad that they make other villains look sympathetic.
Right.
To where you're like, oh, I kind of feel bad for the guy. He's calling him fat and stuff like that. Exactly. Because you've got someone so just insanely evil.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm excited. You guys have any problems with it? Did you want to get them dropped all at once? I remember last season there was a big controversy that everybody was upset that they were releasing it one episode at a time. But I feel like Netflix is the only one that's sticking to that gimmick. And they're like, we're going to give you a quick drop. But I kind of like the idea of taking your time to do it, because even when you drop it all at once, there's very few shows that you can take in one sitting when they're this thick. Like, it's like eating like pure frosting. It's just like, that is a lot. Ted Lasso, yeah, you can crank through those, because that's awesome. That's good. But something that this rich and this riveting, I think it probably behooves it to stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, also you have the subject matter too, and you kind of need those breathers every once in a while, especially after seeing some of the things you see in the show. Like, you're just like, all right, I'm going to take a day, go to sleep if I can, and then wake up the next day refreshed. And, going to the Netflix thing, that's how I was with Squid Game. Squid Game,
Oh,
I
yeah.
was like, I was hooked in that first episode, but then after like 2 or 3 episodes, I was like, I need a break, just an emotional break to be able to, so I can tolerate this, because you don't want to get burned out. So I do like, depending on the show, the kind of 1 a week thing. It almost hurts when you've got a show that isn't necessarily as heavy, like especially with Disney Plus, when you're seeing all these Marvel shows and like with Kenobi and stuff, you see all these really nice things and you're like, I have to wait another week? What am I, watching cable again?
Yeah.
And you want that. And so, I think that a lot of the streamers have shown that there's still success in doing it 1 a week.
Yeah.
Because then you build up the anticipation, much like a cable show would have. But yeah, Netflix is kind of the one that's like, nope, we're just going to keep doing it the way we do. And I think there's place for both. I think it kind of depends on the show. But, I mean, I'm not the one making those decisions. They have the data, so they know what works and they know what doesn't work. So.
Yeah, and the data. And look, Mario, you were talking about earlier how much you actually are marked for commercials in a way. You like the break, like even during the show.
Yeah,
depending on the show.
I like watching TV with the commercials. It just feels normal to me sometimes. I mean, I understand when you're going to watch a movie and you don't want the commercials ever, but when I have TV on as background noise, I don't mind ads. It kind of just plugs me into reality for a second. What's going on,
Yeah.
Because commercials kind of, you look at old commercials, you can see where the culture was,
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it is a bookmark in time. And we were talking about this earlier, watching the George Carlin special, and he was talking about one of the variety shows he was on, the Tony Orlando show, and he's like, you realize that back then we were getting a 40 share, which is now the equivalent of like everybody watching the Super Bowl for a variety show. But the thing that it was that it was event TV. Like it was an event, like people are staying up at 2 a.m. to watch Kenobi because it's an event TV. Like lean into that a little bit more, maybe make it a little earlier. But if you know the date and you have the loyalty, people are going to be there. So I think The Boys is really formatted well for. I like the big drop like this. Like here's the first 3 to kind of keep you going in. Peacemaker did that, and that was perfect. Peacemaker was the perfect example of how well that worked. We're going to give you the first 3 episodes, and now as the filmmaker or the showmaker, the showrunner, now you're going to format it. It's like, okay, we got 3 hours. Like basically we have a film to win them over, and now let's do it. And I think The Boys is perfectly formatted for that. Oh yeah, and Mike said, yeah, it's spreading out the spoilers cadence, and he's been biting his tongue for Stranger Things with me because I've been savoring it. It was the Cosmo Kramer line when he's like, I don't know, I think I'm kind of a little bit into the self-deprivation. Like I like holding out a little bit. There's a part of me that I know I'm gonna love it. And it's just like, okay, I want to stretch it out. But now I know more are coming, and I don't want to fall too far behind, and I don't want to fall into spoiler territories, which I'm very anti-spoiler. I avoid them like the plague. I don't know, bro. What are your stance on spoilers? Mario's okay with spoilers. I've been scarred by spoilers. What's your spoiler stance?
It's kind of twofold. I'm at the point of my life where if something is spoiled for me, it annoys the shit out of me. But it's not the end of the world.
Right.
But then I also find myself on the other side of that coin. I have 2 kids, and we're slowly starting to introduce them to stuff like that.
Yeah.
And especially going back, we're starting to, like, the perfect example that I have is right now, my daughter's 11. She just turned 11. And my wife and I, one of our favorite shows of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Good show.
And because my daughter is into the kind of horror-y kind of stuff, I was like, you know what? Buffy's going to be a great show. And so we started watching it, and I've watched the series at least 7 or 8 times. So I know the show inside and out. And I know where those moments are coming. And because my daughter is she wants it to know right then and there, it's been a struggle, like, not letting her know that she can go online and just read the episodes of what's happening. And so knowing where those are, I've been very cautious about what I say and how I say it. Because especially with her personality, if you say something like, oh, this next episode is going to be good, she's like, is someone going to die? What's going on?
You're
and
right.
so the whole series, we were kind of doing that. And so it came to the point where I was like, oh, this next episode, I can't wait till you see when someone dies. And she's like, what? And I'm like, just kidding. I've kind of had to like throw her off. Like, yeah, someone could die or maybe they won't. Just to try to minimize that kind of thing because, spoilers are everywhere. So I don't mind. I don't like getting spoiled. But if it happens, it's not the end of the world for me. But it also kind of just depends on the spoiler.
Right.
I had Doctor Strange spoiled for me, the new one, which I was annoyed at. But it also, I was like, well, now I kind of want to see it more because I need to see it.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it enough to where I want it to keep happening. But I mean, with spoilers, I'm kind of, I work in social media, so I just know that if there's something that I'm going to like, I either have to see it or I have to disconnect everything. And that's just the way the world is now. It sucks, but that's just the way it is. So now I try and either A, go see something as soon as I possibly can, or B, find a way not to get annoyed at it.
And Mario gets heat, or he gets hot over that. He doesn't want to be forced into that position, right? That predicament.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, because I think Marvel is sort of doing this too. They're trying to scare the crap out of everybody. Go watch Doctor Strange or whatever immediately before the spoilers get out, and we're not going to leak them. But folks will post it, and it'll ruin your
it'll ruin the experience. I love that being a responsible parent too. Just like we're having to take spoilers into account these days. I did the same thing for my son. He was not able to go see Endgame with me on day one. He's going to be a sports broadcast. He's into sports broadcast, so it was the NFL draft that night, and I got the ticket. I'm like, well, I got to go see the spoiler. I'd rather get spoiled on the draft than the movie. And he's like, well, rather get spoiled on the movie than the draft. So, spoiler alert for Avengers Endgame. He's like, shit, I saw a spoiler. It's just like, I saw that Black Widow dies. So, being the good, responsible parent I am, I was like, I gotta fix this. I'm like, that's not true. Like, where'd you see that spoiler? That didn't happen. Someone dies, but it's not her. He's like, oh, really? Oh, thank God. So then he went in not thinking he was spoilered. Then when she died, he's like, I thought you said, well, it's like, but you were surprised, weren't you? So
Dad, how could you lie to me?
I legit had this exact same thing happen. So the show's been out for 25 years now, so who cares? So at the series finale of Buffy,
oh yeah,
you have arguably the more popular character even than Buffy herself is Spike.
Spike.
My daughter is flat out in love with James Marsters because of Spike. She's just everything. And so I knew that he would die. He's dying in the episode. And it may be the morbid side of me. I was like, oh, that's going to destroy her. And then I was also like, oh, that's going to destroy her. And so leading up to it, I was like, are you ready for the finale? Are you ready for it? And before we watched it, she goes, I'm really worried that Buffy or Spike's going to die. And I was like, why would you think that? And she's like, I just kind of have a feeling. Do they die? And I was like, and I didn't say anything. And she goes, does one of them die? And I just looked at her in the eye. I was like, no, no, they do not. Because I was worried she wouldn't watch the episode. And so then when she watches it and sees it happen, and she's just covered in tears, and the heartbreaking thing is she goes, why did you lie to me, Dad? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I was like, I will never lie to you about anything that really matters, but this I needed you to watch it.
So then she's Team Spike and not Team Angel.
Oh, it's a bad analogy, but it's very much the same thing in Twilight, where you have the person that she meets to begin with and the bad boy. And so I've always been kind of like, Team Angel, Team Jacob kind of style there, because that's who I've always kind of felt like she's meant to be with. But you can't not love Spike and the character that he is.
Yeah.
And so it terrifies me too, because I'm like, my daughter likes the bad boys. So now I got to watch out for that. But yeah, she's 100% like, we'll have debates. I'm debating with my 11-year-old about why I think that Buffy should be with Angel and why she thinks Buffy deserves to have Spike. And just, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Mike said next time hit him with the everything emoji. The everything emoji from Peaceface.
Yeah.
Just hit him with the everything emoji. So cool. All right, we want to take a quick break, and then we'll get into some. We'll fly into the danger zone.
Just got hit with a copyright strike.
This bartender's the next big league pitcher. And loves to serve fire brewed Strohs. See what I mean? That was his fastball. That was the curve. Look out. Wild pitch.
What was that?
Relief pitcher.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
Can you believe it? JT with an $18 million contract?
Sure is a long way from the playground.
Think he still drinks Strohs? Yeah.
Hey, guys.
JT, Mr. Millionaire.
Richard. Timothy. This is all right.
Glad he didn't forget his friend.
Or his Strohs.
Where is the Strohs?
Out by the pool.
The pool?
Strohs and Stroh Light.
Now that's a cooler.
Fire brewed for smoother taste.
Hi, I'm John Vito. After I get done smashing pumpkins, I'm usually ready for a beer. Stroh's beer. Ah. Whoa, that's living.
Stroh's beer, proudly brewed in Detroit Rock City. You gotta lose your mind in Detroit Rock City.
Stroh's marketing department was really on the decline by that point. So I don't know about that last ad,
but all right. Before we get into the danger zone, we're going to enter another danger zone that's known as Weird Beers.
This will be the first Weird Beers segment without any beers?
Yeah, because it's going from weird beer, I guess, to strange soda, strange drinks. I don't know. We'll have to come up with a sting for that. But we go in the close up. We got the close up gimmick here. It's the surprise is we are going with Mountain Dew Flaming Hot Cheetos Edition. Now this is another level.
Why is this a thing that exists?
I don't know. Like they used to market to
move the camera.
Oh yeah, let me move this out of the way. You don't need that. There we go. So I don't know. And what's scary is the other flavor that I saw seems worse than this one. Mountain Dew Funyuns.
Funyuns?
There's a Funyuns edition, which I think has got to be 1,000,000 times worse than that. So the stats on this, yeah, it's just 100. Evil truly does exist in this world with this soda, according to JD. 170 calories. I'm wondering if it's packing a bunch. 44 grams of carbs, lots of sugars. But I'm assuming, they were always known for the energy drink, right? I'm a mark for all the flavors of Mountain Dew. The closest I've ever skirted with an evil flavor like this is when I was driving from New York to Texas. I found a gingerbread flavored one right around the holidays, and it was not bad. It tasted almost like a cream soda. I was like, okay, I don't know what to expect with this. What are you expecting with this?
I don't even believe that this is a thing that's real. That's why I had to get it. Right? This just feels like the simulation is glitching and just spitting out random combinations of things,
Well, they put down hasn't on that can. Mike says very, very good, very evil. Brian,
it's taken me back to high school because I've never been a Mountain Dew fan, but what I loved during my senior year of high school, and they brought it back a little bit, was there was a drink called Surge.
I remember
was basically
Surge.
Mountain Dew. And what I used to do is, because I didn't like the tanginess of Surge, but I liked the energy boost, is I would go to a convenience store, like on my break during lunch, and I'd get a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. I would drink a liter of it, and then I would pour Surge into the remainder and mix it up. And I would do that once a day, which explains a lot about my size. So I'm not opposed to drinking mixed things like that, but this is kind of terrifying.
Yeah. Surge is the GOAT, JJ wants you to know. Surge is the GOAT.
And when they brought it back limited time a few years ago, and that was the quickest Amazon purchase I have ever made, was buying a 12-pack, because I had to show my kids. I'm like, Daddy was cool once.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think Mike is wishing for a tacky collab. I don't know that. But
It has lime.
It does, yeah. So what is the actual flavor profile in here? It's dew with a blast of heat and citrus, flavored with citrus natural flavor. So it doesn't say cheese, which is what's making me the most nervous or the most happy.
Well, it does say contains 0% juice.
Okay.
So no, don't worry about.
I don't think Flamin' Hot Cheetos have cheese either.
Yeah.
They're just hot.
They're just hot?
Yeah.
All right, let's pop. Let's see what the pop is.
Wait. We need to see the color, don't we?
Oh, you want to see? Oh yeah, let me get a Senor Poncho. Oh, you know what? I can use this cup. Where Jamie Lee will represent. Where is she at? Am I right here,
Who's
right?
also dealt with something terrifying.
Yes, exactly. Here we go. Let's get the pop. I will move it in the right direction. All right.
I mean, it smells like dew.
Okay, the good news is when you open a bag of Cheetos and you get the instant Cheeto smell, I'm not getting that.
I'm not getting it. Yeah, it's heavy dew.
Okay,
I smell the spice.
Let's get a pour here. Oh!
It's definitely Cheeto colored.
It's the perfect glass to put it in, too.
Oh, my God. Evil drinks tonight. Oh, my God. It is orange.
Orange is the Cheeto.
Orange is the Cheeto. Why? I'm not smelling it, which is making me nervous.
I don't know. I'm going to try it. I'm diving right in.
Here we go. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Wait, I'm okay with that. I'm alive.
It's not bad, actually.
It's really just tastes like Mountain Dew, but on the back of my throat, I can feel a little bit of a kick to it now.
Yeah. Oh, I feel so much better. I was like legitimately nervous about this.
It's just spicy Mountain Dew. Yeah, this would go great with some tequila.
Oh yeah.
Get you some Espolón and Flamin' Hot Cheeto Mountain Dew on rocks.
Wow. Well, hats off to Mountain Dew. To quote Roddy Piper, just when you think you got the answer, we changed the question. That's good shit. Yeah. That's good stuff. I'm happy with that. I was a little bit more of a over the gingerbread, but this is okay. Bring on the Funyuns. Bring on the Funyuns.
Slow down. I don't know if I want to be putting stoner soda into my body.
I do want a snack, though.
I'd buy Stoner Soda. That's a good name.
Stoner Soda. Oh, my. From the makers of Cola comes Stoner Soda. You have the Cheech and Chong feel? Yeah, that would work really well. Okay, thank God. Well done, Mountain Dew. Cheers. You guys delivered again. You don't care about our teeth, but you care about our taste.
And the more you drink, too, you can feel it. It's on the back of your throat. There's a little bit of a tickle there from that heat, which it's not bad. It's not overpowering or anything.
I feel really good about this. I'm so pleasantly happy with that.
If nothing else comes out of this, just know that you've now turned me into a Mountain Dew connoisseur.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Right? It's just that
sommelier for the Dew.
Yeah, I was going to say sommelier for Dew. Because we got to make a road trip. Because obviously the Legend of Long Island is only at B-Dubs. They got that black Mountain Dew that you can only get at B-Dubs. And now I'm just... all things Mountain Dew. Give me Dew or give me death. That's what they have so many good flavors. They had the red, white, and blue flavor. They got the white one. They got the gamer flavor. Man, I'm just really happy about this.
Yeah, interesting taste. I mean, I don't know that I would want to drink this on a hot day. When you're super thirsty, but it's a thing that exists, and I acknowledge its existence.
You would game for 6 hours straight, or you would clean your entire house after drinking this. And that's the goal. Sodalicious is still the best non-existent soda brand because it's so delicious. All right, let's get into the other danger zone now that we're out of this danger zone, which was the sequel, 32 years in the making. The sequel we didn't know we needed, wanted, or asked for. Top Gun Maverick, or what I'd like to call it as Goose, a love story.
What's up?
But we're taking off still.
It's all coming apart.
There we go. That actually worked really well. Literally, the graphic machine just jumped on the couch because it's in love with soda. I think that's just what happened. But Mario, we'll start with you. What was your take? You're the one that said I didn't know if I needed this sequel or wanted this sequel, but we got this sequel. What are you thinking? Top Gun Maverick.
I mean, I went in expecting a lot. It's been getting awesome reviews, super positive, whatever. Like best movie ever, people are saying. One of the best movies of all time, I've heard people say. And I was like, really? Top Gun 2 is the best movie of all time?
No. It just goes to show that COVID was rough on us all. COVID was rough on us all.
So I had pretty high expectations, and I thought it was a pretty standard Tom Cruise action movie. Like I didn't really get like the nostalgia for me was not. I wasn't drumming up any old memories for me. I remember having that tape and watching Top Gun a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't, for the most part, it didn't work for me.
You didn't dig it?
Yeah, no, I didn't really get into it. I don't really find any fault with it. It's a well-made movie. Everything was pretty solid, action all across the board, but it just felt, I don't know. It just felt like something I didn't really need to see and didn't really want to see, and it was just kind of there, and then it was over.
Yeah, it was a soft reboot of the first one, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. But I likened it more to like feeling like a roller coaster ride. It did feel like an amusement park ride. That is just like, oh, I remember the original ride. I love this ride. But what I did really like about the film portion of it was there was. Do you want to throw the spoiler warning up there?
Oh, for the
yeah. Spoiler warning. This leaned heavily into the two emotional portions of the first film, which was Goose dying, and then really leaning into the relationship of where Ice kind of evolved with Maverick. But on top of that, to me, why I really enjoyed it was it paralleled what's really going on with Val Kilmer in real life. And that really choked me up. That, okay, they built his character, the character that we loved from the first film, or we loved to hate, and then we ended up loving. And hearing him really talk, knowing that he can't talk, and doing that, I was just like, they wrote it into the script, and the way that, Maverick, the relationship we had him, I enjoyed that. What do you think, Brian?
I went into it this similar thing. A lot of people that I trust were saying like, it's the best movie that's come out this year, and I'm like, slow down. But going into and seeing it, I really liked it. It worked on a lot of levels for me. The nostalgia wasn't too heavy-handed, which it is in a lot of instances. I think it could have been a lot worse. I think they did enough to kind of call back to it while also still making its own thing. The way I've been describing the movie to people is this is a movie that makes me remember why I love watching movies in a theater.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because I think seeing this on a screen at home, I mean, you'll still get some enjoyment out of it, but especially taking my son to see this, I told him, I was like, man, you've got to watch Top Gun so we can go see this. So he watched Top Gun. dug it, went and saw this, dug it, but being able to sit in a theater with him and on a massive screen, see a movie of this scale, especially with how much better they've gotten at filming, especially even just the flight scenes.
Yeah.
So a lot of that all mixed together, and I'm a Tom Cruise fan. I mean, he's one of our only movie stars we have left.
Yeah.
Who's strictly just a bona fide movie star, where even in the crap movies that he's in sometimes, you still can't take your eyes off of him.
Yeah.
And so anything he does, I'm going to go see. But I like the fact that this was a movie that I didn't really need, but enjoyed it regardless. Like, I didn't need a Top Gun sequel.
No.
And so that's why I was pleasantly surprised by the fact that I did enjoy it so much. Because, I mean, I love Tom Cruise, but I mean, Top Gun is just a movie from my childhood. It wasn't, it's not Star Wars. It didn't change my life.
Oh, yeah,
it's
no,
just a
at all.
movie that you have that nostalgic feel.
Right.
For Kenny Loggins and the soundtrack and the beach volleyball scene, which just has so much homoerotic tension behind it. So
Hello there.
It's not a movie that was just like I was just craving for, but I think that's probably why I enjoyed it so much, because I was pleasantly surprised by it. But it made me, I've been to the theater since then, or before, since COVID and everything like that, and this is one of those movies that just made me remember, like, this is why I love going to movies.
Right.
It's not
in the theaters.
It's not a life-changing, earth-shattering, artistic, Oscar-worthy film, but it was just good and well done and didn't bore me. And it wasn't just, I think it was a little bit more than a popcorn flick.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going into that like I would a Transformers movie where I'm just going to see shit blow up. This, I actually, you went for a little bit of the story. And to your point, like, they did the nice callbacks going back to the Goose relationship with Rooster. But what hit me hard was, especially with Iceman.
Yeah.
It's such a well-written scene, and the whole time you're leading up to the fact that he can't talk and he's typing and stuff like that. And you just, especially for the whole meta side of it, if you know that Kilmer is going through all this stuff
in real life, yep,
you're not expecting him to say those words.
Mm-mm.
And when you do, it kind of hits you.
It does. Like,
wow. I was just like, you start getting a little emotional because you know what that took even
to deliver those lines. I agree. I think that put it over the top for me, the movie, because it's such a theatrical film. I'm not sure if I'll actually seek it out to see it once it's released. I'm not going to be clamoring to buy it. But if it is on, I'm going to definitely turn on my Bose, and it's going to be on the 70-inch, and I want to blast it if I'm going to see it, because it's a movie you have to feel, because it feels more like you said. I don't know if you want to call it a popcorn flick or an amusement park ride. It felt like that, but with a good story, because I was very curious how they were going to handle, like, no Kelly McGillis, and it worked, because Jennifer Connelly was great. She was great, and I'm a huge, and we actually found Mari. I don't know if you want to throw that graphic up. Like, she's a national treasure. Hey, let's hear it for Jennifer Connelly. Like, that she is a star, and like I don't know if it's her character or her IRL. Like, she's in her 50s, right?
Yeah.
She looks incredible, and she was like the perfect, like you said, Tom Cruise has that appeal that you need somebody that's going to be able to have to match that energy and still not be ridiculous and be somebody like in their 20s. And she did it. It was like, it was like, oh man, they kind of boned Kelly McGillis, but then you saw the stuff and they're like, oh, okay. And then you go back and like, oh yeah, they did mention her in the first one. So at least they took the time to pay homage to the canon that was the small little universe of Top Gun. Like you said, this isn't Star Wars, but they still, at least, it could be argued that the writers at Disney are not always doing that with Star Wars, but at least with Top Gun they did that. It's like, well, let's pay homage to the volleyball scene with a water football scene, and Great Balls of Fire got the call out, and he is now in the role that Kelly McGillis was in the first one, and then all the stuff with Goose was great. That I love that it was not that he tried to become the surrogate father, even though he wasn't a father, a biological father himself, but he felt a duty to his friend, which he felt responsible for the death. So he's carrying the weight of feeling responsible for the death of his friend. And now he's like, maybe I can try to be a dad, but we know his name is Maverick. Of course, he's not necessarily going to be the best dad or make the best decisions, but he's doing the best that he can do, as a dad. And then that's why he pulled him out of the academy. And then that came back, and then they had this the tension felt like legit. I was like, man, this is really good. But then he knew that he was putting him in a life-threatening situation against the enemy, so he couldn't take it easy on him, even though he wants to nurture him, but he also has to prepare him for war. And then I think, for me, not being a pilot, I think they did a really good job of explaining how treacherous this was to do this run, like every step of the way. First, you're going to have to do this. Then you're going to have to do this. And then you're going to have to go up. And then you're going to have to go inverted. And then you're going to have to go down. And then you got one shot. I was like, wow, this is like they basically paint by numbers. This is what we're going to have to do. And I think they did a really good job with it. I was pleasantly surprised because, again, I wasn't a huge Top Gun mark. We knew when somebody pulls behind you at the office, right? You're like, you're my goose, right? Because you pulled behind me on the chair. But it's not like I was a huge mark for it. So I was surprised how much I really did enjoy it. Mike was asking, wasn't Val Kilmer's voice AI? JJ said the voice was AI, but his son has his voice. I don't know if they went with the son on that. So I don't know if it was AI, but he struggled to get it out. So that's why I was like, well, if it wasn't AI, the performance still hit, because we know he really can't talk. Wasn't he in town for he went to that the ghost town that's off of 290.
Yeah, they did like a Tombstone
when they
screening
did
out
Tombstone.
there.
Yeah,
that was in that documentary on Amazon Prime.
Oh, that's what. Yeah,
and I think it was his son, because his son did his voice over on that documentary.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. And do we know why was it smoking, or was this what happened with his vocal? I know it's some kind of cancer, I thought.
Not sure. I can look it up on the Google machine.
The Google machines. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably more of a mark for the Remember Berries. So I did enjoy that portion of the nostalgia, and like Brian, like you said, I don't think it was too heavy-handed. I marked out for the Great Balls of Fire. I think you do have to kind of lean into some flashbacks in these films, especially when they're separated by years like this. So but it wasn't too much. It wasn't too gratuitous, but it made the people who did watch it and maybe it's like, oh, I haven't seen this movie in years, it brought you back, right? It was music and commercials are a bookmark in time. So when you had that karaoke scene on the piano and then to see his son doing it, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm a basic B, but I was like, okay, yeah, that was cool. I dug it.
I think the only thing I would have liked more is if he hadn't done Great Balls of Fire, and if he had done You've Lost That Love and Feeling.
Oh, yeah.
I think doing that because I think everyone kind of expects him. He's already wearing the shirt and he's got the stash and everything. I think everyone expected that kind of Great Balls of Fire moment.
Yeah.
So I would have loved it if they would have just flipped that on its head and done You've Lost That Love and Feeling.
Oh man, that would have been good. Did this relaunch? Tom Cruise has been struggling, like you said, even though he's a bankable, he's the movie star, but he had a lot of JJ said, throat cancer. Man, that sucks.
Generally caused by excessive tobacco and alcohol usage.
Damn. That sucks. But I was saying with Tom Cruise, he struggled a little bit because of his real life stuff leaked over. And to be a great movie star like the Pacinos, and the De Niros, you kind of have to hide from the spotlight of when you're not on the film. And he had a couple moments where he didn't, and that hurt his box office. But it didn't hurt it because then he's just like, okay, I'm going to lean into becoming the American Jackie Chan, where this is me doing my own stunts, and that, you know, they had him on YouTube breaking his leg jumping from buildings. So it was like, okay, you're gonna go see him, and you're gonna forget all the other stuff because you're leaning into that. So other than Mission Impossible, he hadn't had anything that really hit until this one. I wanted The Mummy to work, and I thought maybe The Mummy can do it because I'm a mark for the Universal monsters, and I wanted that to work, but it didn't work. And then that thing, you know, went away. But does this relaunch Top Gun for you? Is there going to be a Top Gun 3?
I mean, if people are shelling out money for it, they're going to make another one. That's kind of like the cynical way to look at it. But I think, yeah, generally, if this makes $1 billion, they'll make another one for sure. Why not? And Maverick can do something else. So maybe he'll fly. Maybe he'll join the other team. He'll go to the whatever. Who were they even fighting in this movie? Did
the enemy.
Say?
The enemy.
They left it intentionally vague.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, there's any number of villains we can choose from.
Right.
But they left it intentionally vague so that you couldn't really tell what it was. But I think that also helps it too, because we see that a lot with movies, especially from like the 80s. It's always, we're fighting Russia, or we're fighting China, or we're fighting Cuba, you know.
Right.
And when you don't tie it necessarily to something like that, it becomes a little more, I don't want to say timeless, but it's a little easier it has a longer shelf life.
Yeah, and now we're talking about a global box office. We're you know, in the U.S., this is where the box office now struggles, where we used to be the powerhouse, and the U.S. is not the powerhouse. Now you have to rely on your international box office. So you're not going to, their enemy might be different than your enemy. So I think leveraging it and just although I think they did it in the original one too. I don't think they ever called it out. And I think the remake of Red Dawn did that as well, right? They were very ambiguous on who was doing the invading.
Well, it was definitely North Korea in that one.
Oh,
they changed it on that one. They originally, I forgot who. I think they had China or somebody originally.
That's what it was. They
North
flipped
Korea
it, right?
Because they were like, well, this is really the only true. We know these guys are bad, so we're gonna go ahead.
Yeah, everybody agree. This one's a dick. Okay, yeah, that's the dick. Get that dick. Boo this man. Boo.
So I mean, yeah, I think I'm not entirely sure what's drawing everyone to this movie all of a sudden. I mean, you're probably right. It has something to do with the pandemic and how deprived of entertainment we were and how burned out everybody is. And this is like a good old-fashioned nostalgia.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, all in all, I feel like this movie could have been about like a ski school and you do the same plot. And it's like, it aside from it being a Top Gun, I don't know. It felt kind of unoriginal to me.
Oh, don't get me wrong. If you make a movie about a ski school, I'm there day one. I want to be back in a world
like a
where
ski school and impossible jump they got to do, and they've only got 3 weeks to learn how to do this impossible slope.
Yeah,
right.
Speed on skis.
Yes, that's the pitch, the elevator pitch. What is it? It's speed on skis. All right, yeah, selling it. Yeah, I don't care. I want to live in a world where Weekend at Bernie's is the norm. I want it just to be like, call it hot dog the movie, hamburger the movie, sausage the movie. I don't care. It doesn't always. I'm a big as mark as anybody for a lot of this nostalgic stuff, but that doesn't mean that you should not do original content as well. You know, and that's why Blumhouse does so well, although he's leaning into some of the nostalgia too, because now he has a little bit of a name, but don't even spend a lot of money. Like Mario, what did you say the pitch was for Weekend at Bernie's? Just like, I don't know, we got $1 million. You're going to puppeteer a dead body, and we got this house in the Hamptons. Go make a movie.
Terry Kaiser is a dead body, and you guys pretend like he's alive. Go.
I mean, that's great. That's what I want to see. I mean, I would shell it out to go see it in theaters. So, but that being said, I still think there's room for stuff like Top Gun. But I think it's a responsibility from the studio and the filmmakers to like, do not, like Quentin Tarantino, do not just put me in front of a bigger TV and expect it to be a theatrical experience. It needs to be a theatrical experience, and we're a little bit spoiled here in Austin because, you know, the birthplace of Alamo Drafthouse. So we all are all about the theatrical, where make it, you know. And Brian, we ran into each other right on and independently, not even knowing we were going to be there. I told Mario, yeah, I go to Cinemark when it's going to be in Theater 1, and it has to be a Theater 1 worthy movie. That's a theatrical experience because I can't simulate XD at home. I can't have somebody cooking and giving me drinks at home. I got to do it myself. It has to be a theatrical experience. What James Cameron was trying to do, and it's going to be a really interesting experience on how it's going to work with Avatar. Because if you really wanted the Avatar experience, you had to search out not only a IMAX theater, but like a legit IMAX. Like, don't go to AMC's IMAX theater. Go to Story of Texas, Bob Bullock IMAX. You need that experience. Make it a theatrical experience, and that's where you should put these big tentpole films. But don't still give me Weekend at Bernie's. Don't take that away from me.
Well, it's kind of like, everyone when you watch something like Everything Everywhere.
Oh, great film!
That's your vegetables. You got to eat your vegetables, and it's going to make you better, and it's going to make you healthy, and it's going to be fulfilling. But sometimes you just want a piece of chocolate cake.
Yes.
And that's what Top Gun, I think this one felt like. It felt like, it's nourishing me? Is it going to make me fit? No. But it's comfort food.
Yeah.
And so I think that there can be a balance between those two things. I'll eat my vegetables, but every once in a while I'm going to want a piece of cake. That's
right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's a good way to put it. And I think that's where, because in the end, we don't want the theater experience to go away. But we're of the
definitely
mind.
not. I'm just up for more original content.
Yeah.
I just want to see original stuff. I'm really starting to get burned out on the Remember Berries. I think it's gone overboard now. Everything just feels like a throwback. I want to see an original movie that, like, with a story a story that I'm not familiar with, that I can just buy into and go that way. I don't know.
And when it hits so well. Like when you get those surprise, like, wow, I had no idea, like something like It Follows, like, where the hell did that come from? And then when it works so well, like, why does it have to be only a Sith deals in absolutes, right? Find that balance.
Well, I think I think there's a place for both. I think, if anything, having the sequels and the nostalgia helps me appreciate the truly original stuff. It stands out more. I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about how it seems like every movie now has like 3 sequels and all this kind of stuff, and they're rebooting things. I'm like, do you not remember that there were 6 Police Academy movies? Yeah. I'm like, sequels have always been around, but you let those keep going. But it helps you, at least for me, it helps me appreciate it when something truly original comes around. Because like the most recent thing that just kind of like shocked me that I wasn't expecting was Parasite. I loved Parasite.
Yeah, no one saw that coming, right?
And that was a movie that I didn't really expect to hit me the way it did.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that movie could work if you didn't have all these other sequels and all the more derivative stuff coming out, because it really helped that movie kind of set itself apart and caught word of mouth and got that movie kind of pushed out further.
Yeah.
Hey, disclaimer, there are actually 7 Police Academy movies, as well as a series and a cartoon.
Oh, yes, there was a cartoon. But low-key, Best Police Academy 5, Assignment Miami Beach. Who would have thought Part 5 is when they really found their groove?
Is that when? That's when they lost Gutenberg.
Yeah. No, he didn't come back for that one. Nope. He did come back eventually for one. Right? Was he in Citizens on Patrol?
Yes, he was in the first 4.
The first 4. And then they had Captain Mauser, because what's his name didn't come back for the second one. But yeah, that was also their first assignment was good. Man, I actually remember seeing the first Police Academy in a drive-in. You're ready now, mister. And just like now, Tackleberry would be storming the Capitol, but back then you're like, this guy loves guns.
Yeah, he's like unbalanced and super, super armed.
Yeah.
Hey, would you like to see a Police Academy reboot right now?
Oh, man.
Well, it's funny
Sure
too.
question.
It comes down to the audience too, because the audience is going to tell you what they want, even if you don't like it. Like, I will be perfectly fine if I do not see another Transformer movie. I enjoy them for what they are, but I'm not going there for cinema. But people eat that up. We've had 9 Fast and the Furious movies. Now, granted, 3 of those Fast and the Furious movies are balls out insanely good.
Yeah.
And then the last one, it's always the running joke. Like when you're out of ideas, what are they gonna what are you gonna do? Oh, Another Medea movie, Medea in space.
Go to space,
And
right?
then they went to space.
They literally went to space.
Furious during this last movie because I'm on board. I know that it's like Ocean's 11 on crack. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But watching them literally go to space, I was just like, I'm done.
We knew it was coming, though, right?
I know, yeah.
You predicted it.
Mike wants the Police Academy reboot, so I think we should book that.
Oh, he wants specifically a requel.
He wants a requel.
Yeah.
So maybe you do something like Tackleberry, whatever, does a no knock kind of like whatever. What do they call it when they bust in on folks?
Oh yeah, the no knock warrant.
No knock warrant on someone and kill somebody, right, by accident, and it's all in the news. And they got to bring back Mahoney out of retirement to help, get the PR up for Police Academy.
And I don't think there's anybody we can get to star in this other than Kevin Hart.
Oh, wow.
I think it's got to be Kevin Hart. That's the kind of movie that he's just right into.
Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right. I love that we're booking more Police Academy.
All the Police Academy candidates, like, they all get filmed on cell phones, like, abusing folks, doing bad shit. And
Yeah, because now it's a completely different world. I mean, it had a lot of stars over the years, right? That kind of went through there. I mean, other than Punky Brewster's stepdad. I mean, was Sharon Stone in one, or did I dream that? No, Kim Cattrall.
She's in the first one.
Yeah.
Kim Cattrall is in that.
Oh, bring back Michael Winslow. Let's make him.
Yep.
Let's make him the commander now of the Police Academy. He's the one making all the decisions, and like everybody, he just only speaks in noises.
Yeah, he doesn't use any words. Like when he's doing a press conference, and he's like. Yeah, we had Bubba Smith in there. Oh man, don't move, dirtbag. There's so much good stuff.
Yeah, get Hooks to do the dirtbag line. That was her gimmick every movie. You're just waiting for her to say that line.
Oh man, and what was the gratuitous? What was her name with the big boobs? What was her name? And she ended up being a pivotal part in that. And first, she was going to be like
gym instructor or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, got to look that one up. Winslow has commissions money.
This is an excellent Top Gun review.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to pull up the wiki on Police Academy because we need a character. Oh man, that's got to be. I can't think of her name. But like she seemed like she was one of those characters. Like, okay, this character's not Callahan, Leslie Eastbrook.
Callahan.
Right? Yeah, that was it. Oh man, Steve Guttenberg, Mahoney, Bubba Smith, Bobcat Gold. Oh, what's his name? From SNL was in Part 4, Citizens on Patrol.
Who was?
Wasn't that
Tony Hawk was in Citizens on Patrol.
Tony Hawk was?
Yeah.
David Spade.
Oh, that's right.
David Spade was.
He played
in
a
there.
skateboard punk.
Yeah, he was a skateboard punk. Bobcat. Eugene Tackleberry, David Grath. Oh, Marion Ramsey is Hooks. Oh, G.W. Bailey, Lieutenant Harris. That's right. And then George Gaines, Eric Lassard. Oh, Punky. Man, yeah, this gave birth to a lot of. They wouldn't make a movie like this now, though, right? This goes along.
They couldn't. That's what I'm saying. I don't even know if they could make this movie, make Police Academy again.
Unless they just do it for like a. What if they go a dark route? What if they go the dark route? What if it's basically you pitch it to HBO Max? All right, it's going to be Police Academy, but book it like it's The Wire. Use all the
but
same,
funnier.
Yeah. Use all the same characters, but book it like The Wire. I think then I think you're in the money. Then HBO is just printing. Then you're catching up to Netflix.
But then you have to wonder if we're going to get sued, because of Reno 911.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is basically this generation's version of a police academy, just on TV.
Yeah, you're right. Reno 911. Oh, you're right. Oh, yeah. Mike said maybe Blumhouse Police Academy. Proctor. Oh, man.
You got to go dark. It's corrupt cops.
Yeah, it's got to be corrupt cops. I think that's the way to go. Oh,
So
man.
Top Gun was good.
Yeah. So the moral story is, yeah, Top Gun was good. So yeah, we're rolling. Our ears are sore. We're getting close to that 3-hour mark. So B Rose, Geek Commander, thanks for coming on and sharing your thoughts on kayfabe content, horror high spots, and culture pops. But we'll definitely, hopefully the traffic wasn't too bad, because we definitely want to have you back on here in studio. It's good to have the in studio breath.
My only worry is that when y'all look at the analytics for this video and you just see as soon as my face pops up, it just drops down in viewership.
It's okay. We have a solution for that.
Yeah. Here we go.
There we go. You can just leave her photo up while I talk, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
There you go. So put her up so you can say like, subscribe, and share, and go ahead and hit that notification button so you'll be notified for some of our drops or all of our drops, because we got our house show live. Well, we'll break it out for your high spots, if you will, and then we got our podcast Gimmick. So we have different ways you can see, hear, and experience what is Dose Incredibles and Dose Incredibles International. So yeah, that's a wrap. Let's go enjoy some AEW. It sounds like it was a banger, so we're looking forward to seeing some possible new belts and some new stuff. Other than that, yeah, we will see you guys next week. Peace out.